the horror world is sad today. One of its legends are gone. The final girl who probably gave the most impactful performance in the history of slashers and proto-slashers, the beautiful and talented Marilyn Burns is gone. Marilyn, I hope you're raised in hell wherever you are. Welcome to Trick or Treat Radio.
Zombies. You're listening to Trick or Treat Radio, starring the Deadites.
Welcome to episode 106 of Trick or Treat Radio. Trick or Treat Radio is a phantasmagorical spin kick straight through the heart of pop culture. It is navigated by the Deadites. The Deadites are the world's greatest electroshock band. We destroy monsters, we drink booze, we win championship belts, and we read lots of comics, as I'm sure most of us did this week.
And we used to have a clitorally acclaimed podcast.
That's right.
I guess we don't have that anymore.
There you go, Ed.
I guess not. I guess not.
That's right. One of our listeners, Eb, had brought that up and was wondering why we haven't done that. It's because Tiny used to give me shit about it.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, so I stopped doing it.
Yep.
So there you go.
But 4 out of 5 clitori agree that this is an excellent podcast.
What happened to the clitorati?
The clitorati are all in agreement.
El Clitorati, is that like anything like El Mariachi?
Yes, the clitorati. No, that,
okay.
It's like the Illuminati.
yeah, exactly. It's the underground, vagina movement.
Nice. Well,
Oh,
that's a
Raven Shadow
colorful
has no
photo.
idea what that's like.
No, it's the secret, it's the secret vaginas that run the world.
Who are they?
Like, I don't know, my mom,
What?
a bunch of other people. Tell me what to do.
Raven Shadow,
all right, shut him up before he gets on a rant.
Raven Shadow can't wrap his head around this subject.
Oh.
You can't do that on radio.
What did you say?
That was a bad one.
Yeah,
It's a good bad one.
let's do that over again.
Do what over again? The whole thing?
The intro.
Let's start the show from the beginning, episode 0.
Play the
Let's-
music.
Let's trash all 105 episodes prior and just start over from scratch.
Let's start over.
Does
Just
that,
only
does
do
that mean it's
curious-
just me and you?
Yes, I think so.
I don't.
All right, I'll see you guys later.
That,
All-
that might be
all-
okay.
All y'all get the fuck out. So tonight we have an exciting episode, I think. What do you guys think? Raven Shadow, what do you think?
Great.
I can't fucking wait, man. There's so much content. We're fucking
Yeah.
swollen. You know what?
Jesus Christ.
We got a big guest who might be.
You know what I want our guest to tell us? I want our guest to share with us the secret of being fucking prolific. Actually getting your shit out there, and I don't know, as a creator, as an artist, like this guy is freaking doing it like pedal to the metal right now.
Well, let's
It
let's
involves
tell
ramen noodles and beans, I'm sure.
let's
Yeah.
tell people who this prolific creator is because they may not know. We're going to be talking to
Jack the King Kirby.
Nope, definitely not him. We're going to be talking to Kaare Andrews, who is a comic book writer / artist. He's currently working on Iron Fist: The Living Weapon, which is an amazing book. And if you haven't checked it out, you should be checking it out. And he's also a film director. He directed one of our favorite shorts from the ABCs of Death,
Yes.
V is for Vagitus. We're like, who the fuck is this guy? We never heard of this guy.
Yeah.
Little did we know we had actually been reading his comic book work
Yeah,
and didn't make the connection.
It's not like, and it's true. Shame on us because it's not like it's
Yeah.
fucking Steve Smith.
I know.
Yeah.
I don't think there's too many Kaare Andrews out there. So, but he also has dipped his toes in filmmaking more than just that. He did a film called Altitude, which came out in 2010, and he also did the most recent submission to the Cabin Fever series, Patient Zero, which literally just came out last week. So we saw that as well. We'll be talking about that a little bit. We'll be talking to Kaare Andrews. If you're listening live in the 10 o'clock Eastern hour, which is about 45 minutes from now. So that should be a lot of fun. Super, super excited to talk to Mr. Andrews, talk about how prolific he is, and talk about the creative process, right? That's something we like to talk about. And he's a very creative dude, so it should be a good conversation.
not just the creative process, but that end part where your stuff is actually exposed to the world. That's really what I want to get out of this guy. He's just freaking all over the place right now, just blowing it up.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's what's on deck for tonight. We're going to talk about Cabin Fever Patient Zero before we talk to Kaare Andrews. We're going to talk to him, and then afterwards, I don't know, we'll just shoot the shit. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about Guardians of the Galaxy.
Ooh.
That's going to get really messy.
What, Guardians of the Galaxy?
No, shooting shit. Can we do it at like 30 yards?
Yeah, make sure it's a low caliber gun, okay? Otherwise,
Yeah, let's do like a 22 at 30 yards. Can we do that? I'm not talking about like 10 feet and shotguns here.
I'm remiss to I didn't mention it during the week, but we didn't get to feedback last week because we were 3.5 hours in. We had to end the show, so we just didn't have a chance to get to feedback. So all feedback from last week.
Ass show.
Yeah,
we could talk to Steven forever though. Like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we'll do feedback in the last segment here after we talk to Kaare. We'll do some feedback as well. We'll hit the stuff from last week. So if you sent something in last week, we'll get to that, and then also whatever we got for this week, we'll
Don't
get
feel
to that.
bad. I sent the Gents a voicemail, and I still haven't heard it yet. And it was like snowy out.
You sent what?
I sent the Gents a voicemail. The Gentleman's Guide to Midnight Cinema.
The Gents.
and
Okay.
I still haven't heard it yet. It's like snowy. It was snowy out when I recorded it.
Benny and the Jets.
So let me just update some of the stuff here. Raven Shadow.
Yes.
So if people shop on Amazon.com, do you ever shop on Amazon.com?
No.
Do you know what Amazon is?
Yeah, it's that fucking river. Right? Wasn't there a monster? Where's the Black Lagoon?
It's where Wonder Woman is.
Yeah, she's a fucking Amazon.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. She's the one that started that shit.
Oh, Snoop, Paradise Island.
That's how you can get things. That's how you can get things 2-day shipping. She just delivers it in an invisible jet.
Oh shit! If they were like
or an
hot-
invisible drone, actually.
Fuck the drone. Give me the girls. I like that. All chicks on an island. Men can't fucking land there. What the fuck do you think is going on?
Yeah, well, you could probably. They'd let you walk around freely. 'Cause
Yeah.
you wouldn't set their man radar off.
I'm undercover.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'll be your pool boy.
I'm looking at.
They would congratulate you on the size of your clitoris.
Yes, yes.
So Amazon.com, if you shop there, which
Yeah.
pretty much everyone in the world except Raven Shadow does, you want to go through.
What's, again, it's like a product fulfillment site of some variety.
Shut up, Tiny. You buy everything from Amazon. You know better than anyone in the world what it is.
Definitely. They sent me a Christmas card last year.
I bought a lot from them, and I didn't get a Christmas
They
card.
did. They sent me a fruit basket, actually.
Smooth sailing.
I think 3 people in the audience get that one, Dynamo.
It's okay. I've decided that I'm gonna like this show a lot more. Just trying to make me laugh.
So if you do shop on Amazon, go to trickortreatradio.com. You should go there anyways, even if you don't shop on Amazon. But on the front of trickortreatradio.com, there is a link to the Amazon homepage. If you shop through Amazon using that link, we get a cut of everything. You don't pay more. You pay the same, but they give us a cut for referring you. So
Yeah, we get 95% of the sale price.
no, we definitely don't get 95%. We're lucky if we get like 4%. But still, with the amount of money that Tiny spends on there, that should be enough to carry this podcast.
With our luck, we're gonna owe Amazon money somehow.
That's true.
It's like we owe Amazon, we owe Spotify. Don't buy any more T-shirts for fuck's sake. Like I owe Haynes money. It's bad times,
Why do you owe Haynes money?
huh? I don't know. You take some stuff off the back of a fucking truck, and apparently in 2014, that's not called borrowing anymore. Bunch of dicks.
So yeah. So if you use Amazon, go to trickortreatradio.com. Also, if you click on the episodes to listen to it on trickortreatradio.com, I'm going back. I've gone all the way back to episode 75, and I've included links to the films that we review. So
Jacklings?
no, but I will be eating some of your
That shit's
Jacklings.
spicy.
But for instance, last week, if you listened, you will have heard us review Brain Scan and talk about Jodorowsky's Dune. If you go to episode 105 on
Talk about brain scan per nauseum.
per nauseum, You mean ad nauseum?
Ad nauseum.
No, per nauseum.
What's per nauseum?
It's like I per diem to talk about brain scan, but all we get is
Oh, is that like pro bono?
all we get is sick.
No, it's pro bono because we do it for free.
Yeah, we're making a fucking Bomba lawyer. Lawyer.
I'll burn through this real quick, but it's been working. Anytime I am in trouble in my real life, this is a legit thing. I just act like Raven Shadow and I get out of it. Like when I took those T-shirts, it was like, bring those T-shirts. I'm like, what? I like you guys with the grapes.
What?
I like Haynes with the fucking grapes.
Oh, the grapes.
Fucking apple. Yeah, it's good.
Even that leafy weird thing there that doesn't do anything.
Yeah, it's a fig.
Oh, is that what that is? I've been trying to figure out what the hell that is for years. It's a fucking fig?
I told you.
They chose a fig, really?
I had no idea. I thought it was just some like wilted.
You ready?
leafy shit.
I'm gonna blow your mind apart. Grimace,
Yeah.
a shake monster.
Oh shit.
He is.
What?
My head
Why
just
purple, dude?
I don't know.
There's no fig. You fucking asshole. No.
So
It's really boring. It's just an apple and some fucking grapes. That's it.
we have to get through this. We have to get through this.
How did we get to this point?
Who's on the show, Johnny?
Yeah. Well, the other thing I wanted to do was to talk about our other sponsor. Well, Amazon really isn't a sponsor. We just use them to try to make money. But our other show sponsor, XSplit.
XSplit.
Thank you. XSplit is providing this awesome live video. If you're watching live right now or maybe in the archives, look at this. We got the CNN-style ticker. You like that, Raven Shadow?
It's fucking nice, man.
What to do?
We got the email address up there. We got the
Logo.
the Twitter address. We got the logo.
Can next time you update something, you tape it for the show? Because every single time that you do, these two like turn into Cornelius and the girl ape there from Planet of the Apes, and they're like, "Oh, wow,
What?
this computer thing. Does someone come and get the mail and bring it to somebody on the other side?"
The files are in the computer. That's nice. We got little fucking blurbs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's all XSplit, folks.
Split.
XSplit does some cool stuff, and you'll see throughout the show when we're talking to Kaare Andrews, I got some of his art all lined up so I can show off some of his amazing artwork while we're talking to him. There's some other cool stuff. So if you're into streaming live, whether you do video games, you do live video like this, go to xsplit.com and give them a look-see because they're pretty cool. We dig it. Also, I'm looking right here. What is this? Morbid Vision Films' most recent poster.
Yeah.
Morbid Tales.
Yeah.
Starring Joseph Olsen, Rich Karen, Chris Kinneary, and Brian Paulin.
Yeah.
I thought you were in this, MZ.
Yeah, you know, I have a very prominent part in it, and son of a bitch doesn't even put my name on the goddamn poster. You know?
Yeah, what the fuck? Who is? That's not you, right?
No, that's not
I
me.
thought you were the gay cowboy in the poster. Yeah.
Yeah, I wish it was you.
That'd be amazing.
What is this? Is this Ninja Wyatt?
It might be.
He looks like one of the Wyatts, but like wearing a ninja mask.
You think Brian learned your action film limitations from?
He very well could have. I don't know, but that's coming out in October. It's all set ready to
Nice.
come out in October.
Can we get an
Available at
advance
Rocket
copy?
Festival. Oh, I don't know.
I mean, you're in the fucking thing.
Yeah.
Did you finally break out of the typecast as the noodle guy?
You'll have to
Can't
wait.
seem-
You'll have to
can't
wait
seem to
and
break
find
that.
out. I might have some more
I
noodles
can't.
over there.
I can't. Nice.
And let me say this: for every person that buys a copy, gets a free bag of ramen noodles. How about that?
Wow, that's a
not
fucking.
true.
That's a deal.
Now, that's certainly sweetening the pot.
It's
in my
on.
opinion.
It's on,
Yeah, but that's not going to happen.
it's on the way with your 8x10s.
That's
Nice.
right. That's right.
Noodles subject to availability.
Limited quantities. Only when. Only the first 100 get them. That's it.
That's not even going to happen.
No.
All right,
Can't
the
be
first
realistic.
5.
You can't,
Where are you gonna get
can't afford
$100?
100 packs of ramen noodles.
First 5 people get.
First 5, and that'll be us.
All right.
The 5 of us.
Which isn't
Yeah.
bad because I'm hungry.
Yeah, I could.
Yeah.
I wish we had some more noodles over there.
Yeah, over there. Yeah, here.
Yeah. Who's next, Johnny?
I haven't got to anything yet.
I know. 50
I lived on ramen noodles for one summer.
It's not a problem at all. I got plenty of noodles over there.
There it is.
Why did I say it like that? My God.
I was so unhealthy. It was my eyes were so sunken at the end of that summer of eating just ramen noodles. I could see the front of my eye sockets.
Oh my God.
I mean, what's wrong with me? I mean, I have
So many
plenty of
things.
noodles.
Yeah, anyway, where should we start?
Where's that
Can you play
list?
I have plenty
Can
of
you play
noodles
that one
over
more
there.
time?
Yeah, listen to the way I say over there.
Hold on, I gotta pull that patch back up. Okay, here we go.
It's not a problem at all. I got plenty of noodles over there.
Over there.
Over there.
Over there.
Over there.
First time I did it, I totally grossed myself out.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it so much.
Wait, this is my favorite one, I think.
You're on your own, woman.
Oh, the Red Cross.
Oh, you want that one?
Oh.
That's my job.
I'm not the fucking Red Cross, and I'm no nurse.
Damn it, I'm not a nurse. Stop asking me.
Oh, God. All right, let me introduce everyone really quickly. I'm Johnny Wolfenstein, the pencil pusher and producer of media for Trick or Treat Radio and the Deadites. We also have the immortal gunslinger, singer, and lyricist for the Deadites, Donna Mars.
Hi, everybody. Trying to get fat and die.
You're doing a good job of it right now.
You're halfway there.
Yeah, halfway there.
Yeah, you're running about Sean Astin proportions right
Thank you.
now.
Oh, Monster Zero, your parents don't like it when I fuck them in the ass unless I put my full weight into it. So,
Whoa! I heard of fucking your mom, but not your parents.
Yeah.
That's outrageous.
That's a little harsh.
Wait, both at the same time?
Yeah,
I know. Wow.
ain't no party like a zero party.
on the fucking radiator.
We also have the katana-wielding, synth-collecting, mask-wearing composer
Back.
and songwriter for the Deadites, Tiny White.
Hello.
We have the chain-smoking, hand-kissing, baby-shaking, hot pocket-loving, comic book reading nerd, and the official smoke machine for the Deadites, Michael Ravenshadow.
Let's get ready to suck it.
Just get ready.
doesn't-
Don't actually suck it.
No, you
You can get ready,
You can
but
figuratively suck it, but don't literally suck it.
You might
Well,
in
he
the
does
fucking
every
you
week.
might in the fucking gutter. It's a lot of content. It's a 3-hour fucking show. We're gonna absorb all the suck the content up. Like
What?
Like a, you know what I mean?
You're
Like
in
a
content.
ShamWow in the back.
Oh, Jesus.
Aries Shama. Oh shit.
Shit.
He was going to be here, wasn't he?
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
it was
was
weird.
angry at me specifically, but it just shows that guy doesn't often know what he's talking about. He's old and senile.
Yeah, it's true.
I introduced
He
myself.
didn't punch Michael Ravenshadow, which I was really hoping for.
He almost did.
He choked me.
Yeah, that whole day was like jacking off and not coming because I was sure that was just building up to him getting punched right in the face.
That hurt. Security was getting concerned.
Yeah. We also have the vulgar guru of horror, the cast member of Morbid Vision Films and contributor for Horror Hound magazine, Monster Zero.
And with no noodles.
It's so sad.
Sans noodles.
Sans noodles, yep.
Sand noodles is a very popular.
What was that
flavor.
in Dune?
Yeah, that's my
He who
favorite.
controls the sand noodles controls
The
the
world.
world. Yeah.
Isn't that a noodle font?
Controls the spice.
And we told you what we're gonna do tonight. We've done all that stuff. Raven Shadow. We haven't done this in a little bit.
Yes.
What 3 things you can count on life? What are they? Go.
Death, taxes, and Trick or Treat Radio every Friday morning.
Well, also Wednesday nights. Don't forget that.
And live,
Live Wednesday
brought
nights.
to you by XSplit.
XSplit.
You get fucking crazy software. You get fucking words moving fast.
Where can they watch it live?
You can go on the fucking YouTube, right?
Well, yeah, but we
Or-
like for people
or
to go to
What I would
trickortreatradio.com.
do is go on trickortreatradio.com. It's the big app that everyone's talking about. I show my parents
It's not
that
an
app.
app.
Yes.
Oh, wait. Can you do this story in like 2 minutes, or do you want to wait?
I can do it real quick.
Well,
Or I can wait.
Let's wait
Oh,
because
wait,
it's.
wait.
I think I don't want to rush it.
All right.
We meant to talk about it last week. We just didn't have time. So we'll get to that later. Don't remind me. All right.
Gotcha.
Don't
So-
remind you or remind you.
Which is the good one?
Depends on the story, I guess.
The other one.
So, all right. I guess we're going to go to a break, and then we're going to come back, and we're going to talk about Patient Zero. Is there any relation to you?
Yes, he's a distant cousin
Ooh, a kissing cousin?
in Spanish Island. Yes.
He looks like you. Spanish? Oh, you this guy now?
Dominican Republic, I thought. SL in the chat room says over there.
Over there, yeah.
I hear ya.
And Rocky just walked in. He says, "I walk in and talking about fucking moms. It's like I went home." Sorry, Rock.
Buckle up, Rock.
So, trickortreatradio.com/watch-live, or just click on the watch live link on the front. It's all over the place. Yeah. It says right now I'm looking at episode 106 of Trick or Treat Radio will be live tonight, 9 p.m. with actually I updated that. Let me refresh. Episode 106 Trick or Treat Radio is live now with special guest Kaare Andrews.
Oh, Snoop.
So,
I should tune in.
Yeah, you should tune in. So we need to cut to a break. We're going to come back. We're going to have a quick discussion about Cabin Fever, Patient Zero, and then we're going to connect up with Mr. Kaare Andrews at 10 p.m. Eastern, if you're watching live. If not, that'll be a half hour from now for you folks listening on the podcast. So let's go to break. We'll be right back to discuss the film.
Do you love a scary story? Do you love to dance? The Big Scary Monster Haunts at Midnight is a collection of dark songs about sex, love, death, revenge, and the end of the world. Brought to you by the world's greatest monster hunting electro-genre band, the Deadites. iTunes, Google Music, Amazon, CD Baby, and all other digital distribution sites.
I'm Mike Allred. For the gidgiest listening experience, you gotta check out Trick or Treat Radio.
I will be Burble.
What's up, y'all? It's me, the Yeti. Telling all the ladies that they couldn't be more fine and that we should knock those boots like Frankenstein. When I want to get my nerd on, I go to Facebook and I go to the Trick or Treat Radio Facebook group. That's the place where I get to talk about all the hip new horror movies, all the cool comics.
What comics?
RPGs, video games, you name it, we're talking about shit on there. And you could not be any cooler if you were the coolest kid in school. Be the first kid on your block to swing their cock over at the Trick or Treat Radio Facebook group. Just go to Facebook, search for Trick or Treat Radio, ask to join, and it's like Nerd Nirvana, baby, without the shotgun blast. This is the Yeti, signing out. See you at the Trick or Treat Radio Facebook group.
Follow us on Twitter at the Deadites, thedeadites.com, and trickortreatradio.com.
We have returned from break, and we are going to talk about Cabin Fever, Patient Zero. This is the latest film in the series, and it is directed by Kaare Andrews, who will be our guest later on. Dynamo, yes.
So this stupid motherfucker next to me, okay?
Yeah.
I took his phone to try to share the status update.
Yeah.
And his status update shares are sent to go to only him.
That's why he never has any fucking status updates.
Is that why?
You're like, nobody likes me.
Yeah. Fucking God. Well, that explains a lot.
How inept can one person be?
Well, I'll tell a story later on, but
man alive. Oh, Jesus Christ. All right.
Manischewitz. You are really something else.
You are something else.
yeah, I am something else. I am.
All right. So we're going to talk about Cabin Fever, Patient Zero. This film was directed by Kaare Andrews, as I was saying, our guest this evening. It was written by Jake Wade Wall, and it stars Sean Astin, Curry Graham, Ryan Donahue, Brando Eaton, who I actually recognize from Dexter. He played...
Dexter.
No, he didn't play Dexter. He played a kid on Dexter. I can't remember his name.
Played his apprentice kid, right? Is that right?
Not the apprentice, but the son of Trinity.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good call.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have made that connection.
I can't remember his name, but he played the son of Trinity.
What's his name? Brian Donahue?
No, Brando Eaton is that dude we're talking about. Jillian Murray, Mitch Ryan, and Solly Duran. So this film was just released on June 26th was when it first debuted, but it's in theaters. It's in select theaters now, and it's on video on demand. I believe it's also on Blu-ray now. If you that's the way you get your stuff. The synopsis I have here is: when a group of friends enjoying a bachelor cruise in the Caribbean stumble upon a research facility on a remote island, a deadly virus is unleashed. The group must find a way to survive before the flesh-eating virus consumes them all. And if it's not obvious, this is a prequel for the original Cabin Fever. Dynamo, you didn't think it's a very good idea to talk about this, right?
Well, it's not even a matter of what I think. And this is, I guess if we're, going to be all ECW about it and buck the system, I'm not that I was, not that I'm Howard Stern or how do you say his name? Don Imus. Yeah. But I was in radio, terrestrial radio for quite a while, and there are just kind of certain unwritten rules that you don't do. And reviewing the film of somebody that you're going to interview is one of those unwritten rules. If that's what we're going to do, there's one of me, and regardless of, how much more smarter I am than anybody at this side of the table.
Hey.
More smarter, mind you. I guess that's what we're gonna do. But
it still doesn't invalidate your point, unfortunately.
I know. I stand by. I don't feel Michael Ravenshadow doesn't post things because his phone is really not intuitive. This is I'm actually having a hard time posting something on this phone, so this is all he's gonna get is.
See, it is hard.
Well, I mean, it's
whoa
because you made it that way.
Even if you take the time to do it, though, you were only posting to yourself before, which is 100% of your fan base. But still.
Hey.
So anyway,
that fucking messenger.
Dynamo just sent for you. Says, "Oh my lord, we're live. It's about time." Have you never? That's probably why you've probably been sharing the fucking thing and no one knows because
I've been
only
like a motherfucker
to yourself.
Why I tune in every Fridays I'm there.
This is
why he's always there.
I put it on when I get home.
That explains.
So anyway, yeah.
This is unfucking believable.
I don't think it's that unfucking believable.
Yeah, Noodle McNoodle here has a good point.
It's fucking believable.
So yeah, that was my stance, and I felt that it put us in a position. It put us in a bad position two ways, right? So if this is the best fucking movie we've ever seen, right? For every Nathan Cody Vance that's a human being, there's going to be a Ledger or an Ebb or somebody that's going to give us a hard time because our credibility is in question. If we dislike it and we give it the high hat, then no matter how professional he is, Mr. Andrews is going to come on and have to sit around with us and probably would rather tell us that we're stupid jerks, as opposed to have a pleasant, breezy conversation. So that's my take on it. But again, there's only one of me. And
what was that, Tony?
Like Paul Bonnell did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Paul Bonnell, like somebody said, Paul. Somebody used that as an example, but no, I think Paul wanted to punch us in the face.
Probably.
He gets to stick up for himself after the fact.
Which hey.
But, Kaare Andrews would be coming on, sight unseen, sight or sound unheard to that review. So that's not fair.
No.
So the thing is, what we'll do is you guys can talk about whatever you want. If we don't have to necessarily review the film, I just want to talk about the film mostly.
Does he? Well, let me ask you this: does he know that we've seen it?
In our correspondence, I said that we were going to be watching it and reviewing it.
Does he know we have barbecue pork jack links?
Probably not. He might want some if he knew.
You better put them down before I do.
So let's go ahead. First of all, let's just do real informal. We only have 20 minutes until we connect up with Kaare anyways.
Yeah.
So just everyone give their thoughts about, how about this? Since Kaare didn't write the script, he just directed it. Let's talk about his contributions as far as the film goes. And overall, let's talk about the film overall, I guess. We don't have to get into the minutia of it. So, Raven Shadow, did you watch this film?
I did watch this film.
Which surprised me. I watched it earlier in the week.
That's what he says. He always says he watches the
No,
film.
he did, because he told me a little bit about it.
By the way,
so.
Raven Shadow, could you, for the listeners, repeat the conversation that we had on text about me calling you out for not contributing to the conversation on Instant Messenger?
Yeah, but verbally. Don't type it.
Yeah,
Say
no.
it.
No, I could find it. I got to uninstall the messenger.
No, not that message.
Wait,
it's on your text. I texted you.
You yelled at me.
Yeah.
And you said, "You pussy, why you? I see you trolling. Why don't you join?" Yeah, here it is. Stop being a puss and speak up. I see you lurking around. I'm like, ha. I'm driving home. Be there soon. Yeah.
Yeah, we were driving home.
I was driving home. I was at the stoplights.
Anyway.
I was at the package store.
That's when we found out that he watched it, which is normally 4 days before.
Yeah.
He normally watches it maybe after the show.
Well,
what was the question?
Well, Raven Shadow, just talk about it.
Yes.
Let us know what you think, I guess.
No, I will say this. I will say that Kaare Andrews has joined the list, the pantheon of directors who've worked on the Cabin Fever franchise. Eli Roth, Ty West, and now himself.
And that's it. Yep.
Which is 3. It's not a big pantheon. I mean, I don't know who's doing the 4th one.
Spike Lee.
Spike Lee. He's pretty good.
Yep.
Kevin Smith.
Kevin Smith actually could do a pretty damn good 4th. I would think.
Sure.
That could be good. It's been said that we didn't like these characters, but I don't think we were supposed to. I think he inherited something and did an adequate job. What are you gonna do? From what I read about this, there's a lot of problems going on with this film.
Sure.
It was in the Dominican Republic, not the safest place on the planet. Some scenes were cut. It was during a hurricane. Some winds were running amok. What I did like was I didn't know how it was going to start. You know what I mean? It had the intro with.
Had you not seen any of these before?
No, what they didn't have. Who's Frodo's boy?
Sean
Astin.
There you go.
Yeah.
Great opening credit sequence.
It was a great opening credit sequence.
Let me talk about that real quick. So since we're going to have to, if someone brings up something they want to discuss, just let's get it out there. But so apparently I can't remember where I read this, but somebody lent him a Phantom camera for a day, and he had it for 1 day, and I think that's what he used to shoot that sequence, because it's typically used for like a high frame rate and stuff like that, so it's good for
1,000 a second, I think.
Yeah, so it's great for slow mo. That was awesome. I thought the opening scene looked fantastic.
Yeah, it did.
Listen, dudes, really I'll just throw it out there, since I was apparently the asshole here in this situation. I didn't really dig this movie, but here's what I will say with no lying, no thoughts of butt kissing. Anyone who knows me knows I am almost completely incapable of it. Is that the last 20 minutes of this was the best Cabin Fever movie yet?
Yes.
It had the smarts of a Jonathan Mayberry book. It had the pacing that I feel like the Ty West one needed. And
the comedy. I mean,
yeah, I feel like at some point, like the comedy started there too.
Yeah.
Or it worked anyway. Maybe it was, maybe it was there all along. It didn't work, and I feel like it did some innovative stuff with the premise. Which the problem going into that is we've seen those set pieces before, so we know what's going on in that tent. There's not any suspense. We've already had that suspense. When they locked, I can't remember the actor's name in the shed in the first one.
So Jordan Ladd.
But there's a cat fight in this that's fucking phenomenal.
Yeah.
There's
Oh my god.
Yes, there is. Yes, there is.
Can you call it a cat fight?
Yeah,
It's like I guess I don't want to say much more because this movie just came out.
Road
So
Yeah,
fight.
don't spoil that. Don't spoil
It
that
was an
scene. But let's
interesting
just,
cat
let's
fight,
just say
there are
that
two
was
awesome
the
characters in
finish.
this movie that we don't get to spend enough time with, and I think that that's the main problem. And we spent a lot of time with that Hey Dude guy, which was almost to the top of like a Saturday Night Live sketch.
The dude, bro.
Yeah, and his slutty girlfriend who made the play for the brother, which is every teen sex comedy. It's just that middle section was full of trite, which showed a smart as whether it was Andrews putting it in or it was all on the paper originally. Like the last part of this movie was a million times smarter than the first part. I get the mad scientist thing. I get the buxom blonde, but like, I don't know how can you be a doctor? And it's just I don't know. Yeah. Like maybe
I think as with all these movies, I think there's just a level of absurdity built into that world. The fact that this crazy doctor is on this island and doing that's just part of that franchise in a way, right?
Sure. Well, I get that's fine. But again, when you have Sean Seaver from Boy Meets World and all of his friends in the first one and the teenagers from the Ty West movie, there's like a level of acceptable stupidity that the slasher genre and horror genre in general has written into it by using dumb teenagers, right? When you put a fucking doctor in there, like, even from a poetic point of view, you expect doctors to do fucking smart doctor things.
But who the hell was this guy?
Or even a lab assistant. I mean the big, huge-breasted, beautiful blonde girl who went into the chamber without the suit,
Yeah, no shit. It's
right.
like, I mean, that's a huge plot hole. It's like, if you're going to go into an area with a highly contaminated individual and all you're wearing is a fucking lab coat, man, it's very predictable. Shit's going to happen. And sure enough, she did. And she, it's not blowing up too much of a plot point here, but I mean, she runs out and she takes off her lab coat and her shirt, and she's dressed up in like a lacy bra and a thong.
Who cares about that?
I mean, I'm not complaining.
Yeah.
Shit. I'm a guy. I like tits and ass. But, let's place a little bit of realism into these characters.
Again, that's the thing. Like, this isn't Devil's Rock. You know what I mean? It's a continuation of that same, like, gory, clearly, right? Just like crazy gory and like yucky body stuff. But it's just like this absurd world that this shit all happens in. You know what I mean? It's like you can't expect normal conventions because they haven't really been established in the earlier movies either.
Sure, but you're 100% right, Tiny, and you're 100% right, Monster Zero. But the problem is that these movies, both of the first two, were 75% of the film were a teen sex comedy. So that level of titillation is part of that. To add it to put it in this premise and then have to shoehorn it in just doesn't. I mean, they got the girl naked in a way that made sense in the sense where that's what happens when that happens, I guess.
Right.
But like how, like just going into the room and stuff like that. And I've learned a lot from, I'm not afraid to admit that like we know some very good film critics, and El Goro a few weeks ago with Banshee Chapter hit on something for me that really spoke true. And there's a disconnect there if I'm thinking about that in a Cabin Fever movie.
Can you elaborate on that? Or is it
I'm not engrossed in the film if I'm thinking about plot holes.
Yeah, you're not engaged. That's what he said was the engagement.
And I totally get that. But I think that because this is number 3, we've already been introduced to I don't want to say plot holes. I mean, you can clearly say, given a non-absurdist, realist view of this movie as just a horror movie, right? you can say that there are plot holes. But given the precedent that's already been set about people are going to get puked up with, blood puked in the face, like it's going to happen in this world. You know what I mean? Like, however that has to play out to happen, it's definitely going to happen, right?
Sure.
Yeah. So I think if you watch it with the expectation that it's supposed to be absurd and goofy and fun and gory, then it works. And if you watch it as a straight horror movie or like a straight horror movie, it falls apart real quickly and comes kind of back together at the end, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like this, and it's why I didn't want to do this from a personal point of view. There's the acting, and we don't know what's on paper, right? So we really can't say that it was. But I think there was, maybe they had to get rid of a few pages or some things they make it on the cutting room floor. But it's for whatever reason, like I can't think of a film that is this defined in this sense, like. This is a better movie in every way when those people, maybe it's 30 minutes, but when those people get into that facility, everything about it is a better movie.
That's how sorry, go ahead.
It's okay. I sort of wanted to summarize because we have 7 minutes. I think a lot of what's being said is, and this could be construed as ball washing, and it's not. I just want to be clear that I think the problems with this film are the script. The script was not written by Kaare. I think if anything, watching this film, I can tell we watch a lot of directorial debuts lately. It seems like we've had like Joe Bagos, we've had a handful of other ones. I can't recall the other directors' names at this time, but I think Kaare Andrews is starting to develop his own style. And just by seeing even a little bit in Altitude, his first feature film, and in V is for Vagitus, that one blew us away, right? Like we saw that. Yeah, like it's visually stunning.
We got to call him on the carpet, though, right? We've waited 50-something episodes to say, bullshit, you didn't make that for
$10,000? That'll be an interesting one.
That was one of our top 5.
Definitely remember that. Yeah, but that was definitely probably top 2 or 3. I think Diaz for Dogfight.
That was
D for Dogfight was the best one.
That one and then the Dogfight one.
Yeah, I think those two were unanimously our favorite.
There was a bunch I liked, but
and then after that, and then now he does this. This film is visually, I think for the most part, is very gorgeous. Like a lot of it shot well. The lighting, even though I know Dynamo, I think you might have said that some of it was a little dark, and I agree. Yeah. But the use of lighting in that was so effective.
Terrific. All the red lighting in the shadow.
Yeah. So I think the thing is, with for a filmmaker with only 2 features under his belt, he's already developing a style. And that's pretty rare, I think, for someone who only has 2 films under his belt. I know he did a lot of short film work. So I think despite the failings of the script, there's some really good stuff here. And the practical effects I thought were fantastic. I actually thought the sound design was really good as well. I don't know, Tiny, did you listen to this in headphones?
It was good. I did. It was very good. Definitely. And I agree that the practical effects were fantastic too. I mean, I was grossed out a couple times, definitely with the fight especially.
Oh
yeah. There were a couple scenes that I was just like, they're just so gooey and just believable. Right. And some of the, I'll say some of the breaks, right? Some of the unexpected breaks. Let me just put this out there, right? I think you can feel to give Mr. Andrews his just due here. I think you can feel how far he dragged this back into being a cabin fever movie from where the script started. If you kind of catch my drift, like I don't think all of the I don't see a lot of the gore effect part of the initial script, I guess, but maybe. I mean, we'll have to ask him. Yeah. We'll have to ask him about that. But I personally feel that the only reason this works as a cabin fever movie is the direction that he pulled it in, because it seems like it's written much more seriously than the other movies, much more straight than the other movies.
A couple elements that would be interesting to find out if they were in the script, because in expounding on what Wolfie said, one thing that Kaare is doing in Iron Fist that's great is his manipulation of time. And that was a big thing of that made the last few minutes of this movie so super successful. Is that Lasertron?
I don't know.
That's Lasertron.
Is it?
I think so.
Yeah. I'm reading the Iron Fist comics on Comixology.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And so I'm zoomed in. I'm do the what's called the guided view, which I kind of like, and sometimes I just want to see the whole goddamn page. So, but you can do that. But anyway, his flashback scenes he does kind of on pulp with
they're awesome.
Folded page like overlays or underlays, I guess. Just a really clever way to I mean, it's obvious that it's flashing back, but just a really clever way to completely change the tone and the context of what's going on. Just clever.
One of the other things I wanted to bring up, and I, what?
What just happened? What the fuck happened?
The chair break?
I think the first part of my plan's working because this chair just fell on the floor.
One of the things I heard Kaare talk about in an interview was he had said somebody once told him if you or he heard an interview or something, but if you show the gun in Act 1, it better go off in Act 3.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So there's sort of, I don't want to say what it is,
Yeah.
but there's something in this
And it's
where
pretty
that
amazing.
where that happens. Yeah.
I got to give credit where credit's due, man. I didn't see that coming, man. And
I think
pretty sweet.
I think that was his. I think I read that was his input. Like he was like, okay, we have this thing in Act 1, we got to use it in Act 3. You know. So I think that was his input.
And it makes
on that.
sense when you think about it.
Yeah.
When you put the scene together and you look at what's going on, I mean, the scene totally makes sense.
Now, I think if given creative control over the film like he has with comic books, I'm fairly certain that Kaare Andrews is going to be a star. Just the way he already has a grasp of how to make a film. He understands how to direct.
He knows how to entertain people, definitely.
Yeah.
And he seems like he does it on his own terms too. I mean, the Iron Fist thing, he's kind of going very significantly in his own direction with that. I think. I mean, his backstory remains true to the original, but I mean, he's definitely taking it and running with it.
I heard a great interview with him where, and I'm anxious to talk about this, where he had a good point. Like, they sort of set up this element of the Iron Fist origin originally, and it never played into the character. The character is very similar to like a Green Arrow almost, where he's like a devil may care sort of, or in the 70s he became, like the kung fu, like kind of almost naive. There was never this character here that had the most shitty situation ever. Like, basically, he was given paradise. He turned paradise away. And when he showed up to get his vengeance, the person who he was responsible for the death of his parents in his eyes, or really, was old and dying. So he not only turned his back on paradise, he never got his vengeance. So he's a man of two worlds. He, was built to, in his own mind, built himself to do this one task that he never was able to do. And there was never that conflict, that eternal conflict with the character. And he's bringing that there in this absolutely beautiful, stunning book.
Mm-hmm. Cool. We have someone in the chat room says the graphics look great. And that's
awesome.
T-Dog.
Hey.
Oh, it's T-Dog.
She's fucking smart, too.
Why couldn't she stick her head in?
And Psycho Patrick's there. He says, yeah, they do.
Word.
Nice.
Oh, and Psycho says he's going to make a Will Ferrell reference and rile MZ up.
Ooh.
Psycho Patrick, you're supposed to call me the other day, you son of a bitch.
So we're at 10 o'clock.
All right. We're gonna go.
Kaare is on Skype. He just tweeted out for us. He's letting people know on Facebook if they can catch this interview. So we need to be on time. So seriously, real quick, any last thoughts about Patient Zero?
Yes.
We can talk about it after if we need to. But go ahead. MZ.
Quick. I mean, plot holes, yes, big enough that you could drive a giant black dildo through. but other than that,
Sorry, Kaare.
it's okay. It's okay though.
It's okay though.
It's okay.
Well, as a director, do you feel he has potential as a director?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
The Hunted is his.
That's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Can we do a quick trick or treat, or do we not want to do that?
Whatever.
No, let's do it after because I don't.
Yeah. Okay.
Those could get long. So.
Well, we could just do trick, treat.
That's what I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll go first. I'm going to say treat. And that's because Kaare made it a treat for me.
I'm going to... What, do you hang out with you? I'm going to say...
his direction.
I am going to say trick.
Okay.
Really? Yeah. In spite of everything that it delivers in that last scene, in that last 20, 30 minutes.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay. MZ?
Yeah. You know what? A lot more bad than good. Unfortunately, I would have to say trick.
Wow.
Raven Shadow?
All right, we only got 2 options. Much like Cabin Fever 2, I would have to say it was a trick, but I want to see more.
You said
as
it.
a director.
Interesting.
Yeah, I thought you.
Nice.
He did the
treat.
he did the MZ swerve. I thought he was actually going to like it on this one. So,
Oh yeah.
so there you have it. Next, the next feature that Kaare is supposedly going to work on is a film called The Hunted, and he's teaming up with Gail Ann Hurd, who's going to be producing it
A positive
for
trick.
Valhalla.
Now that's
What was our good high end trick? I remember what I
a treat of the highest.
no a trick of the.
Oh,
that
I
was
it was-
Barbarian Sound Studio.
No.
I know
don't
what you
even
mean.
what's
I know.
happening.
I don't remember what we called it.
Yeah, it was
barely a trick. I think.
Yeah, that's fair. That's what I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good to this film for sure. And if you're on the fence, go just check it out. I mean, it's on VOD. You can get it fairly inexpensive. It may even be on Netflix soon. Who knows? But I think Kaare is definitely a director to keep your eye on.
Yes.
If you haven't seen V is for Vagitus and ABC's of Death, it's fantastic. It's 6 minutes. Check it out. There's some other great shorts on there too, but that was definitely by far one of our favorite.
And ABC's Death is streaming on Netflix right now still.
Yep.
So
There you go.
grab it.
Damn.
So
Watch that again.
if you guys think of anything else, let's talk about it after we talk to Kaare. But let's get Kaare on the line here because super excited to talk to him. So let's go take a really quick break, and when we come back, we'll be joined by Kaare Andrews.
One dark and stormy night in the mid-'80s, Joe Bob Briggs, Harlan Ellison, and the ghost of El Santo pulled a train on Elvira while Siskel and Ebert sobbingly masturbated in the corner. From that union arose the greatest movie critic and luchador that ever lived. But we're not going to talk about him. He's kind of a dick. Instead, we're going to talk about me, El Goro, the stuttering movie fan and host of the Talk Without Rhythm podcast. Every week on Talk Without Rhythm, I discuss 2 to 3 movies tangentially tied together by a theme. I cover action.
I'm the most complete fighter in the world.
Sci-fi.
Open the pod bay doors, Hal.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
Horror.
Oh, no tears, please. It's a waste of good suffering.
And the continuing adventures of James Spader, sexual deviant.
You're not worried that I'm going to fuck you, are you? I'm not interested in that, not in the least. Now pull up your skirt.
So check me out at tworpodcast.blogspot.com, drunkenzombie.com, or subscribe on iTunes. Talk Without Rhythm, the only podcast that will not attract the world. Adios.
All right, we are back on Trick or Treat Radio. We're going to talk in just a moment here to Kaare Andrews. Do we have you back there, Tony?
I'm here.
Whoa.
Now you're super loud.
Whoa.
Did you do anything differently?
I totally didn't, dude.
All right,
I can talk real quiet now.
All right. Well, let me get Kaare Andrews on the line here, and let's talk to him.
We just stopped figuring out a way I could do intros again. I miss doing intros.
It says he's busy.
You heard the review. I fucking told you. I told you.
Treat.
Oh my lord, we are live.
He was like, this guy doesn't even know how to work Facebook.
Why do I have chat heads active? The fuck does that mean?
It's nothing I did, sir.
Hey, guys.
Hey, Kaare Andrews. We're joined by Kaare Andrews here on Trick or Treat Radio.
Welcome.
How are you doing?
Pretty good. How you guys doing?
We're doing very good. We're super excited.
Wolfie is saying your name with a lot of confidence, which means he must have researched the pronunciation of your first name.
Yeah. God bless John Suntress.
And how are you saying it?
Kaare Andrews.
There we go.
That's
Perfect.
it. I actually, I saw you. I think you tweeted out recently how to pronounce your name, and that's where I got it from actually. And
oh, nice.
I was unsure because I think Dynamo told us how it was pronounced properly, but typically we don't trust.
Nobody believes.
Yeah, we don't trust it when it comes to pronunciation. So
I'm not sure why they don't listen to the guy with the Irish Texas Southern accent, but whatever.
So Kaare Andrews is our guest right now, and Kaare has a lot going on. He is the creator, the writer and the artist for Iron Fist: The Living Weapon, which issue 5 just dropped today. So if you haven't already checked that out, you need to run out to the store and get it immediately, or digitally if that's your thing, whatever you do. And also just released Cabin Fever: Patient Zero. It just got released in some select theaters on video on demand. So it's definitely out there. It must have been a kind of a crazy week for you.
It was a very calm week because it was just the week where things came out. So things have finally. I mean, I've been doing like press for Cabin Fever now since January. So it's because we had a release in Germany in February, and then it was in Britain in March, and then we actually had a premium VOD release in the States even in the end of June. And only now is it like kind of like in select theaters and then iTunes. That's that sort of window now. So there's like a lot of different stages of press, and it's kind of finally winding down. And then Iron Fist. It's like I'm now. Issue 5 came out, so I'm not doing quite as much press as I was doing when issue 1 came out, or even issue 2 or 3. So, I find things are getting a little calmer, which is good.
Awesome. Well, that's good. I want to actually go back. Let's start sort of near the beginning. There's so much to talk about because on this show we talk a lot about horror films, and so of course we're very interested in your filmography, and we also talk a lot about comic books. So naturally, there's a lot of stuff that we want to talk about. But how did you get into, I guess, I don't know I know you got into comics first, but how did you get into it? Like, was it something you've always wanted to do? Did you want to be a director when you were a kid? Like, what did you see for yourself when you were younger?
Well, when I was a kid, and this is something I think is like a real thing. I didn't, and I don't think many kids do. I didn't see the difference between the things that I loved. So I didn't see a real difference between like movies or animation or model making or any of they all were kind of the same thing. Makeup, cool Halloween masks, whatever it was. It was all just kind of like one thing. It was the thing I loved. And then it was kind of like, as you get older, the world tells you that, oh no, these are different things, and you can't do any of them. Maybe you could do one of them, but you could only do one if you could even do one of them. And it was just like, I just was like, okay, well that kind of sucks. Maybe I will try comics first, and then I found a certain level of success doing that, and then I was like, well, this is just wrong. These are just different. It's the same process across all these different things. So why can't I do more than one thing? And so I just bought some filmmaking gear and started writing and directing shorts. It was kind of like too late to go to film school at that point. I was already working in comics, but it was like, not too late to start just making stuff. So I started making and writing projects, and got my first agent. And then I've kind of I've had a head start in comic books. That's where I broke in first. So the filmmaking stuff is like, it's kind of a second career. It's kind of like it's in much earlier stages than the comic book career. But again, I'm finally at a point now where I consider them all kind of the same thing, and I don't think you have to put your life into one box because the world tells you to. You can have more than one box. It's okay.
Yeah, the interesting thing, this is an interview I saw that you did recently, and you said that it's a totally different process, which, obviously doing comics is a very small scale where you can sit in a room and do it by yourself, and then it comes out, where as a film, you have an army of folks that make the film along with you. So do you feel it's a good balance? I mean, do you enjoy having both, so you can, sort of sit back and do Iron Fist and just do your own thing and then go off on location and film a movie? Do you like that balance?
Yeah, I love it. I mean, every time I direct a movie, I get so antsy to just be alone and draw for myself. And every time I am drawing for myself, I get so antsy just to be around people and kind of try to lead the charge. So, there is like, although I do consider them all kind of the same thing, the specificity of how they are achieved is completely different. It's kind of like cops and firefighters. Those are similar jobs, but the actual details of how those jobs are performed are completely separate.
Right.
And different. Even though there's some overlap, it's just like comic books. Like, it's not like, I don't think drawing comic books is a real training to direct movies. I think it's a completely different process, but there is some overlap. It's more like the creative process is the same. The ins and outs, the day-to-day, like what you have to learn is completely different. But holistically, I don't see much difference between sculpting and photography and directing movies and writing and drawing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like holistically they're similar. But yeah, I consider the comic books the introvert side of my artistic life, and filmmaking the extrovert part of my life.
Yeah.
I like both.
Yeah, and it's a pretty cool balance, and not many people. I mean, I can't really think of too many, aside from, I guess, Frank Miller now, but I mean, that's not really something he did until recently. So I don't think there's too many other comic book creators that have sort of made that jump. So it's interesting to see. And I imagine as you get your feet wet some more, I imagine you want to start doing some of your own stories as well when you start as you direct more films.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. I mean, it's interesting because in comic books, I am pretty, I've been doing this for a long time at a high level, so I have a bit of, I don't know what you call it, cachet or position or whatever. Like, It's like I'm kind of a known quantity in that industry. But in film, it's like I'm so young to it. So I've had things where in the same day, I've had like a private screening at Lionsgate for like one of the Hulk versus Wolverine movie, because I was doing the covers as kind of like a celebrity cover artist. And then in the same day, had a separate, entirely different film meeting where it was just kind of like a lowly general meet and greet film meeting. And it was in the same building in the same day, but it was like from two completely levels of doing it. So it makes you feel a little schizophrenic sometimes to be in that position. But in comic books, like I can, like, it's so much, like, it's really rewarding to be able to do the whole thing, to do the whole process at once, to like own it in a way that I just haven't been able to yet in the film world. So I am looking forward to doing a film with the same amount of like, I wouldn't even call it control, but the same amount of ownership that I can in comic books. And the two films the two full-length films I've directed, those were kind of director for hire jobs with a pre-existing script, and it's kind of a different process than directing your own scripts, which I have done on shorts. And I did a segment for the ABCs of Death where I got to just own the process, and it was only 5 minutes, and it was like they gave you so little money to do it, but it was like so rewarding because it was like, oh yeah, this feels more natural. This feels more like I like to own my own mistakes and celebrate my own successes. There's nothing worse than like being burdened with someone else's mistakes and also even having to wear someone else's successes is equally frustrating, because you just want to own it.
I have a couple of, while you brought up the ABCs of Death, I don't want to let this get away from us, because for multiple reasons, your segment on that comes up like a lot as like to be honest, as like a measuring stick, which we've been putting a lot of different sci-fi against and stuff like that. Because I have to tell you, and I'm embarrassed, and I said this early on the show, that as a fan of you as a comic book entity, even like seeing the name in the credits, I had no idea that this was the guy that drew Astonishing X-Men. it blew my mind, like that you know, we're doing both. You were out of that box and doing that thing that you talked about that you don't have to do, but it just was like two different parts of my brain, so it didn't cross my mind. So maybe I would have been like less like if I like, you know, looked at the roster of people in ABCs of Death and knew that one of my favorite comic artists was making a thing of this, I would have been like, yeah, I know, this is gonna be awesome probably. That said, your segment of the ABCs of Death floored us. There is two things I want to go into. First thing, how it's been iterated to me that you got involved in the process of the ABCs of Death and in the selection process is a pretty funny story. Could you relay that to us?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, what did you hear?
It involved
child sacrifice.
It
involved your ability to procreate.
Right. Well, okay, so this is what happened. So first of all, let me back up and say that, like even in comic books, because I do different things and in different ways.
Yeah.
So all my career, even in comic books, I've had people like who know my work as kind of like photorealistic Hulk covers.
Right.
They don't know I'm the same guy that also has done some really cartoony Spider-Man issues or some really cartoony Ultimate X-Men issues back in the day. And like some people really like one thing and really don't like the other. So I've always had that, like I've always experienced that. So it just feels natural in the film world where that people, you know, it's not like I kind of do like the one thing and then am known for the one thing. You know, it's like I've always just kind of done a bunch of different stuff, and so I always get different fans who like different things, or who don't even know about some of the other stuff I've done, like even just photography or whatever.
Do you find that's hard? Do you like as you know, having to deal with people? Because I know the people who do this podcast for the most part are a band, and when somebody hears some of our more like mellow stuff and then hears some of our more kick you in the balls stuff, I guess, like they're a little taken back because it's so different. It doesn't come from the same place at all. Do you find like that you kind of, you know, when dealing with fans find that you have a degree of splaining to do, like?
Well,
you know,
I think that is, yeah. I mean, I constantly use the analogy of an album for my work, what I do, because my favorite bands, artists, every time they have a new album, they can sound completely different, and it's always like the fan base always reacts negatively to that change because it's like it's not what they know, you know. Even if it becomes then later their favorite album of all time, that initial shock of like subverting the expectations of what someone thinks they know of you, you just have to brace yourself for it. So I'm constantly experiencing that, even among people who like my stuff, or about people now who like maybe know the Iron Fist character from the Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon, or know him from like even you know, there's some of the more recent stuff where he's been a really kind of goofy Zen-like Spider-Man character. Like I've had people who like have told me, I was so shocked by your take on Iron Fist. I did not understand him at first, and now I'm a big fan and I really love him, but I just didn't understand that at first. And you just have to know that that's coming. So the only way to do that is just to do the same thing every time. And who wants to be that guy? You know, I don't want to be that guy. No interest to be that guy.
That's who most guys are, unfortunately. I mean, props to you for staying true to your, you know, desire to do different things.
Well,
I mean, most people they just keep hacking and hacking and hacking at the same style until they're known, and then they just stick with it until they're done.
Yeah, and that is actually the better route to success. Like when I was breaking down, like, how am I going to achieve success in comic books? It really was like, okay, I'm going to come up with one style, because it's like, you know, you're branding yourself, and like, I'm going to draw one. I'm going to find my style and be and be my guy. And that, I think that is, you know, legitimately how most artists build a fan base. Is they have a thing that they refine and refine and refine, and they own it. But I just could never do it. I just would get so frustrated. Like, I don't want to draw one way all the time. I just want to do different things. So I made a deal with myself and like, okay, I will keep the project consistent. So if I'm doing like Iron Fist, I will draw Iron Fist consistent for that project. But then the next project, I'll allow myself to do whatever I want to do for the next project. Yeah. So that's kind of how I've made peace with that. And that's my thing. My thing, apparently, my style apparently has turned out to be no style. It's just like, you know, it's like
we say that about one of our co-hosts, but we mean something entirely different.
But I try to think of it in a positive way, like Bruce Lee. You know, he rejuvenated martial arts by defying style, by creating a style that is a combination of styles and using whatever he needed to do. And that's, to me, it's like, oh, that's how I approach. That's going to be my approach, and that's how I'm going to do it. And it's only because I couldn't. It's only because I just didn't have the, you know, I had no other way to do it. I just had to be at peace with it. But for the ABCs of Death, so here's what happened: is I heard it was happening, and I had just had a feature film that I had worked on forever that I really wanted to do, my own script. It was like a thing, and it was going to happen, and then it just fell apart, and it was just like, oh, I had so much like pent up filmmaking energy. Wow. And I was like, what am I going to do? I just need to, like, you know, get this out of my system and do something. And then I was like, I'm just going to do a short. I used to do shorts. I like doing shorts. I'm just going to do something fun and just like throw myself at it and just get rid of all this pent up energy. And then I saw the ABCs of Death, and I was like, oh, perfect. This sounds exactly like maybe someone can pay me to do this short. And I don't know anyone involved, but I will reach out on my own, and I got my agent to reach out, my manager, who actually he did rep one of the other guys doing it. So there was a bit of a way in. And I was just like, really, I just sent a blind email, and I was like, hey, listen, what you're doing sounds amazing. I have a new baby. He's 5 months old. I think he was only 3 months old at the time. He's 3 months old. Let me do it. I'll decapitate him on film. That's nice. The selling point. Because, you know, I mean, because actually I thought it'd be lots of fun. Because, you know, it's like, when else can you decapitate a baby unless it's your own? Like,
well, don't ask Monster Zero here. Don't ask him. My co-host here thought when you not putting yourself in a box, he was thinking that the 3 hookers that he has locked up at home, he can start putting them in different boxes now.
Yeah, man.
They're a problem, you know.
Only if you get caught. That's only probably.
Yeah, that's right. That's a good philosophy to go by.
Don't encourage him.
Don't ask permission. Just ask forgiveness. That's my so they actually, the initial response was like, "Oh, thanks for reaching out. We're actually full. But
wow.
We'll keep you in mind." And it was like, "Okay, great, thanks." And then later on, a couple weeks later, I got a call or an email being like, "Hey, spot opened up."
They said, "Hey, did you say decapitate a baby?"
And then
maybe
not only that,
we read that wrong the first pass.
Yeah. Well, because I mean, it's also like I had also heard that there was just no money for these things, and it's true. There was just so little money, and so doing short films, like, you just learn to add, you know, just to work with your own resources. So for my mine, I like built my own robot, and like I had my own baby, and like, you know, I like built my own built my own script, and like, you know, just kind of did everything.
Your wife was much more bitter about the birth of the latter. She's like,
what's that?
She wasn't very happy about having to have a robot.
Well, you know, she was very supportive. She was down on set with the baby, keeping him content until like tore his head off with the robot. But so you know, I just you just start thinking like practically like, oh, what can I use in the world around me? So I just was like, I'm just gonna follow my bliss, and like I love things like RoboCop and Total Recall, and I love like robots, and I have this baby, and I love makeup, and I love action. I just want to do everything. So I just like, it just kind of like I had this feature length energy that just kind of like got funneled and pushed into this tiny short film with no money. But the result was kind of funny, because the result feels a little more feature film-ish than like short. Because I know again, I know these things, right? The best way to do a short is you tell it kind of like a joke. It's like a setup. It's a punchline. Yep. It's keep it short, keep it simple. But again, I just couldn't help myself. I just was like, I just have to like get rid of all this energy. So it was just like, I'm gonna do everything: mutants, robots, fights, explosions. You know.
Yeah, that was one of our comments when we reviewed that several episodes ago, and we were like, "There's no way he made this film for the budget that they were given."
I've been waiting, like, because we only have people on that we like, right? Despite the fact that we're very low on the media food chain, like, we still are only going to talk to, you know, people that we like, or at very least are interesting. But despite my like for everything that you want to do, I feel like that I've been waiting like 40 episodes to call bullshit on that. You made that short for that money constraints.
Well, here's what's funny is that almost everyone else, so the money they gave you it's in the short, they gave you $5,000, which in the filmmaking world is like, that's really no money.
That's
like
not giant robot money, sir. Like, I'm not tricked.
No. It's like no money. And so I found out just going to the premiere with the other guys, the other directors, like everyone put in more of their own money. Everyone put in like thousands of their own dollars. And at the time, I had this new baby. Like I just didn't have my wife would never allow me to put in thousands of dollars into a short film while we have this new life to look after. Like it just wasn't
not
even
that,
an option.
not that, and decapitate the baby. It's one or the other.
Exactly. So there just was no, like I just had no, I just was not allowed to spend extra money. But it's almost liberating to have. So you just treat like there's two ways to do them. One is you can try to pay everyone a little bit of money and try to make it. And the other way is just like no one gets paid, everything's for free, everything's donated. Either you're part of the movement and you're having fun, or we find someone else. It's like, and that's the way I did it. So everyone was just out there having fun and just making art and like doing cool things and it was just a fun thing to do. But yeah, I didn't spend a nickel over what they gave.
At the sake of sounding ball washing here, I just picture like if there was any like press with like all the directors, I picture you being like, yeah, I didn't spend any more money and I got a fucking robot and a baby gets his head and there's psychic powers, and then like poor Ty West is like, I got a plunger. a girl goes to a different room.
He's the only one that made money off that thing.
Yeah. We gave poor Mr. West a hard time in that review. When
that one cost about $100 and he pocketed the rest.
I think he got really, in every review he got really slammed. So I think he learned a lesson, and then I think everyone in ABCs of Death too learned a lesson. Like, oh, you can't just phone this in, because even though it's a little tiny anthology film, that like people are going to talk about it. Like it's not, people aren't going to just like
not just that, but people like you are they're going to represent. You know what I mean? They're going to bring their A game and try to break in. And you have somebody with a name going up against somebody with some passion, and you got to be awfully careful.
I mean, you also think the premise, not necessarily the premise of numbers, but people are going to go in with a certain degree of skepticism too, because it's like these are going to be 24. How long are these things going to be? And like
26, by the way.
Holy shit! It's like I got bit by these two.
A, B, C, D, E, F, G.
No.
Q and X aren't really letters.
No.
Well, but actually, in Germany, apparently it was released as 22 Ways to Die because a few segments couldn't make the censorship laws. Like mine segment didn't make it.
Really?
No shit. Really.
Like Timo's didn't make it. Jason Eiser's didn't make it because I think you can't. It's more like you can't endanger children. So anyone who had
that's
in Germany,
he's right. He's right about that.
Yeah, because your movie didn't come out either.
I did a movie a few years
which
back
is not as good as yours, sir.
I did a movie a few years back called Blood Pigs, and the director Brian Paulin, he got the word from the government in Germany saying that
was it on government letterhead?
It was. It might have been. I don't know. Or the film industry.
They sent the touristry. They sent the touristry circular with it.
But they did say that the film was banned in Germany because it endangered the welfare of children.
Germany?
Yeah, which is so bizarre. And I always
you do realize it's not 1942, sir.
And I do. Hey, I put a feather in anybody's cap who can make a film and have it banned in Germany.
Yeah.
So a feather in your cap. Good.
Oh, thank you.
The problem was that nobody, that Brian or Monster Zero here, when they got the letter, nobody could read German, so they just assumed that that's what it said. But they were really like, you can't have that fat guy using the sword. Like nobody believes that for a second.
That's like a pot of gold to him, man. He's got that sucker framed and everything, man.
Yep. It's like a pot of gold.
They're like, we are very sensitive about noodle hoarding in Germany.
Yeah, exactly.
That's an inside joke, though. But.
So the film, though, I mean, clearly that was, I think when we went back and watched ABCs of Death, that was one of our top 2 favorites. Like I think unanimously it was like D is for Dogfight and V is for Vagus were probably among the group here our 2 favorites. And
yeah, I mean, working up to it too. I mean, we saw most of the alphabet already, and then that happened, and all of us were like, "What the fuck just happened on my screen?"
Well, my copy apparently was missing for you.
First of all, it feels even though it follows the constraints, it has twice or 3 times as much plot as anything else in there. So I mean, we were.
That's what I'm saying. Like I had feature film blue balls, really.
Sure.
You went off like a water wiggle on that one.
So what was that? What was that feature film you were working on at that time?
Well, it's a feature film that's kind of like come back to life. It's a movie about kind of like contract killers, and my pitch is I talk about it like if Blade Runner was a ninja movie set in present day with no ninjas. So it's like it's just like kind of like
sold
dark noir, about just like kind of like with some poetry, but just ultra violence and like I don't know, next level action,
like some vintage synth music maybe.
I don't know what the synth music, but
please ignore the man on the other end of the curtain fishing for work.
But so when I got to this, when I got the short, it literally was like, again, you have no money, so it's like, okay, well, I have no money, I have no resources. How do I put this together? Well, I hooked up with a producer of mine who kind of came up through doing no budget shorts like me, and we just put our heads together, and he found a location that we could shoot at, because I know that's the first thing you need, the location. And then I was like, what do I just love? And I love RoboCop, I love Total Recall, I want to do robots, so I knew I wanted to do robots, and I knew I wanted to do all kinds of action and stuff, and so I thought, okay, I'm just going to teach myself this visual effects, and we went to find some help to build a robot, and the first guy we found was like, okay, yeah, this is cool, this is a great idea, I can really help you guys out, so it will probably take a team of 6 guys 3 weeks, and it will probably be about $50,000. And it was like, whoa, did you not hear that my total budget is 5? Like that's me paying for toilet paper and Doritos. Like that is not.
He's like, well, the baby decapitation apparatus, that's 40,000 right there.
Exactly. Well, Vancouver's funny. It's a weird city because we do so much expensive movie making here, like Planet of the Apes or whatever, X-Men, Riddick, whatever it is. But we actually don't actually do a lot of indigenous filmmaking. So we have a lot of highly trained crew that know how to do things for a lot of money and get paid well. But then when you scale it back, sometimes it's hard to get people to be like, think about it in other terms. Yeah. So I was like, well, what can you do for no money? Because we have no money. And he was like, well, let me get back to you. And it was like being on a bad date with a girl, and you're like, oh, we will we will never talk
he's
again
like,
after this
he's
dinner.
Like, for free, I'll walk away from you and never talk to you.
Yeah, exactly. So, I think we may have actually met a second time, but it was just no, we didn't. And then my producer on his own, he went and found another guy, and the guy was like, oh, okay, cool. Well, you know what you got to do? You got to build this robot on a crane because it's gonna be so heavy. The only way to move it around is to like drive to crane it around, like the Alien Queen in Aliens. And it's like, man, where am I supposed to get a crane for $5,000? And then what am you going to put on it? I don't even have the money for that much metal. Like, you're crazy. You guys are crazy. Like, this is a short film. All it needs to be is a Halloween costume that survives 3 days of filmmaking. It doesn't have to be, anything more than that. So I just ended up making it myself. And if you watch the ABCs of Death, there's like a little segment where I show you how I made it. It's basically foam floor mats over top of this kind of like structure that I concocted, and there's just a dude in it, and he's got like one hand in the head and one hand as the hand, kind of like Big Bird from Sesame Street.
Yeah, I saw the making of that costume, and it still seems like bullshit to me. No, it's fucking amazing. I scrutinize it now, having seen that behind the scenes, and I scrutinize those scenes, and there's no gap. It's just
so fucking good.
Excellent.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Well,
and
again,
it's got it's got personality, and there's comedy associated with the robots. It's great.
It's part of a double feature with Manborg at my house in pretty heavy rotation. I'm like, have you guys? I'm like, you want to see some fucking robots?
Yeah.
You know, I have not actually watched Manborg yet, but it's on my list of things to do.
Check
you'll
it
dig,
out.
You'll dig it for sure, my
Canadians,
friend.
Astron 6.
Do yourself a favor and watch it, man. You will love it.
It's so funny as I'm sitting next to my super cliche-ly Italian co-host here. Like the whole time you're talking, he's like, I can tell his mind's thinking. He's like, oh, my cousin Vinny, he get you a crane.
I know a couple of fucking guys in the back.
Get your crane, some babies, like whatever you need.
I'll get your baby right now. Time is it? Where are you?
I need you on my next production, then I think.
Yeah. Call Louis the Mallet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did you go?
Baby head, how many you need?
Yeah. Frankie the Spatula. He's in the back.
Me and Bobby Chains will go talk to that $5,000 guy, see if we can talk him down a little.
Yeah.
Hey, Joey the Fish.
How about for the low price on the house?
but again, if you really think about things in terms of, again, not like getting rid of the boxes, why couldn't I make it myself? Because I can draw. I used to model make. I mean, I had never built one before, but it just seemed like, of course I can build a robot. Like, why? It just is the same process. It's just the same creative process. You
Was
kind
it
of
your
like.
first try? Did you have to scrap a bunch of stuff, or did you pretty much get it?
Yeah, I just kind of figured it out. There was a lot of work that went into it. It took a long time because it was just kind of in my spare time in between like having a new baby around and like drawing comic books.
Sure.
But it was like I kind of knew how I could make it. Like you just think about it. It's like, oh, okay. And then I just found a way to kind of get close to what I had imagined in my head. And again, it's the same. Get rid of those boxes and things become so much easier.
Yeah, but you make it sound so. Talk about boxes. You make it sound so fucking easy. Like I'd be like walking around in boxes with like aluminum foil on it. Like that's my look like Flight of the Conchords.
That's kind of what it started out with.
Like I just made a robot. Dynamo, go make a robot. All right, that's a foil.
But then even like the visual effects, I did like all the visual effect shots myself, except for the very first opening one, which was a little more complicated than my skill set could do. But like I can do Photoshop very well, and I know editing, so I hadn't done those kind of visual effects before. But it was like, well, why couldn't I do them? Of course, you can figure that stuff out. So it was just like
I mean, that's something I wanted to talk to you about too, and we got into it a little bit in the beginning of the show. So we know lots of artists, we know lots of creative people, a lot of creative people, and some really, really talented people, and we've talked to a lot on the show. But there's something else, right? There's actually being prolific and actually taking it to that next level and breaking through those boundaries and borders that prevent you from actually releasing the stuff that you're passionate about and that you're excited about. So talk a little bit about that if you can. You already have a little bit, and like you just in one sentence. You just said it. You said, why can't I do that? You know what I mean? I have some frame of reference for it. Why can't I make that next leap? Why can't I, if I have this background, why can't I apply it to this? So if you could just take a second and just kind of enlighten people a little bit in that respect, us especially.
Well, yeah, there's two. So I have two things I want to say about that. And I guess the easiest way for me to talk about them would be just to relate to them in terms of comic books. So when you're trying to break into comic books, it's like it's such a small industry and there's so few jobs, and you go to these conventions and you meet other artists trying to break in, and the first thing you realize is that there are a lot of really talented people that haven't broken in and could totally do the job, but there's something beyond just the ability to do it. It's like the determination and the grit, because it's hard to actually break in. But you meet so many talented people that you knew if they just worked harder or sat down and did it and just had the grit. And it's like grit is like really the decider, not talent. Like talent aside, so many talented guys I met when we were all trying to break in, just couldn't. They just couldn't sit down and do the work when it came down to it. Yeah, and that just is a huge. That just takes away so many people that could be doing the job. And then the second thing is kind of what you talked about. It's like, well, I can do this. Why can't I do that? And you see this in comic books all the time too, where the way comic books are created now, it's kind of a 6-person job. There's someone who writes the plot, there's someone who pencils it, someone who inks it, someone who colors it, someone who scripts the dialogue, and then someone who letters it. And they're all separate jobs that, especially these days, separate people do. But it's like, well, if you can draw with a pencil, surely you could trace over those exact same lines with ink.
Right.
Somehow, so many pencils have been like, oh no, I can't ink. I just can't ink. And it's like, why not?
Weird.
Like, what's the mental block? It's like, well, that's someone else's job. I really need to work with an inker. And they'll do these tight pencils to try to control the inking process. Their pencils are so tight, it literally is just tracing. I mean, there was a time when inkers actually were more embellishers. Like in the old days, pencils would just give them rough stuff, and the inker would actually refine it. But those days are gone. They've been gone for a long time. And then also, it's like these days, like if you can draw with a pencil, and you can ink with, why couldn't you just put a little bit of color on with the computer? Like, it's not rocket science. Like, but again, some guys are like, I just don't know color. I just could never figure it out. And it's like, well, you probably could. I mean, it's kind of like a painter does all those things. Oh, but I don't paint. It's like, what? Like, why not? Why can't you paint?
Right.
I don't know. To me, it's again, I just think they're all the same process, and the specifics of how they're achieved are different in the individual, and maybe you need to research like how to color on Photoshop, like, because it's a step-by-step thing that you need to learn. But holistically, that process is the same. Like, I sat down next to John Romita Jr. at a show once, doing some signings, and he was like, I would really love to do some watercolor painting. I've never tried it. And it's just like, well, why don't you just get someone to do it? And it was like, oh no, I just, maybe one day. I was like, why wouldn't you just do it? You can draw your ass off. Like, why wouldn't you just do it? So those are the two things. It really is. The first one is, what's more important than talent is just grit. And then two is, just try not to see locked doors. If you can do one thing, you can probably figure out another thing.
Yeah. I think that's a big. I think that metaphor is excellent. Locked doors is a very good metaphor for what a lot of creative folks run into, and whether it's the locked door related to whether they think people are going to like their work or not, or if it's the locked door whether they think they've gotten to the point in their style or whatever that they're ready to release it or not. It always seems to be something. I mean, even us, as a band. Like, I don't know what has held us back, but we are 20 something years into this band, and we just recently released an EP. I mean, I have to think that it has to do with fear of rejection or an inability to collaborate, or I don't know what the hell it is.
That's a story for another time. But
it is. But this is
we recorded that record 3 times. Like, don't make it sound like we didn't do it.
But maybe maybe Kaare is kind of talking to the punchline here, where if the collaboration fails, you just goddamn well do it yourself. You just break through.
Yeah, I mean,
well, there's a book that I read in art school that was very, at the time, I loved, and it's called Art and Fear, and it's a really thin, small book and a short read, and you hear Robert Rodriguez quoting it all the time. I started hearing after I had already read the book, but it talks about how fear. Yeah, the fear of failure is palpable for artists, and it's almost like if you don't. And again, I think that's why a lot of these talented comic book artists never. One of the things that stopped them from just doing the work was, what if I can't do it? What if I've put in all this energy and all this time and built up my skills to as good as I can go, and then I give it my shot and then I fail? Like, then I'll have nothing. So it's almost safer to be like, to not achieve things, because then you can still believe in your abilities. But there's an inherent falsehood to that way of thinking, because the true path to success is through deliberate failure, is to aim for beyond what you can achieve, because it's and then fail at it. But it's in the doing of it that you learn how to do 80% of what you just tried, and the next time you do it, then you can achieve another 80% of the new goal. And so you never, it's constantly failing, and every new goal you try to get to, you constantly fall short on purpose, because if you could achieve it so easily, you probably aren't aiming high enough, and you probably
Yeah, you
aren't
shoot for the moon, right? Yep, I hear you, definitely.
Yeah. So you should really check out this book. It's like it talks both about the fear of failure and then also the fear of success. There's just fear is like a real thing. The other thing that I saw recently that was like very interesting to me is I saw it was like on Twitter. Someone posted this. It was a little diagram, and it had one giant circle, and it said something like hubris or ego or like maybe like whatever, like something where it's like I am the god of art making, and then another big circle that said I'm a complete failure, and they just overlapped just a little bit, and right in the middle there was the words art, and it really is like like art is the fine overlap of complete confidence in your own abilities and the complete soul-crushing insecurity that every artist feels all the time. And in between, when those two touch and overlap, that's when art is made.
We need to get you into like the water supply, like like Kaare Andrews, Patient Zero, because like it is really enlightening. Though I don't particularly prescribe to Tiny's pessimistic way of thinking. I think we did okay for ourselves in 20 years, but maybe I am the god of art circle right now. But you know, like well, I think it's
like, yeah, every artist has a different process too.
Yeah,
so
I think it's your positivity is insane. Like it's like not insane, like I'm gonna decapitate a baby and build a robot insane, but like it's really refreshing because I have to be honest, like. I hear like a lot of and I listened to your awesome conversation that you had on Word Balloon with John Suntress, and I listened to like a lot of professionals, and there are a few of them where there's like, no matter where they are on the food chain, and I listen to like a lot of film podcasts as well and stuff like that, where I feel like there's a bit of like cynicism, like that came with where they, like almost like the scars of what it took to be on the other end of being, if not successful, like, financially dependable, I guess is a fair way to put it. But like, you still sound like you love making it and you love having it, and that's I forget we could say whatever we want on this podcast sometime. That's fucking great, man.
Well, I got those scars too. Let me tell you, like it is hard to make art, and it's supposed to be hard. That's what I truly believe. Like it's not supposed to be easy, and it's not a mountain to one day climb and like, hey, I'm at the top, I did it, right. I did the thing. It's like you start to realize, oh no, that's not that. I'll never get to that thing. So as hard and as shitty as it is every day, it's also really awesome. And I just need to like do it, and you fail half the time and you succeed half the time. And, I had these, let me tell you relate this to Cabin Fever a little closer and to be a little more candid about that experience was I was sent that script and it was like, I had done my first movie and it was just this kind of small little movie. And, the process was maybe not as, not what I thought it would be, and the results weren't really what I was hoping it would be either, in a very related way. And I was sent this movie, and first of all, it's like Cabin Fever 3, and it's like, well, I really liked the first Cabin Fever, but then 2 was such a debacle. Like the filmmakers rejected it, the audiences rejected it. It was just a thing, and then well. What do you do then? Where do you go from there? Because you've already kind of like spoiled the goods. Like there's no way to recover from that. It's kind of it's a death spiral, really, And then on top of that, it's like a very low budget, cheap movie, and there was a big part of me that kind of struggled with like, should I even do this movie? Because it was offered to me, and I was like, should I even do a movie like this? And it was like, and it was like that again. It was like the one thing that made me do it was, I'm just like scared, and I'm just scared that if the movie doesn't succeed, it's going to end my blossoming career, and it's going to like whatever. Like if it fails, it's like it will just be like the worst. And then I was like, well, I can't make decisions out of fear. Like that's not who I am. So that was the real thing that made me do the movie. It's like, okay, well, I'm just going to take this opportunity. and just embrace it for what it is, and just live it and have the experience and get as much out of it as I can, and just kind of see it as like, okay, this is just the next step in whatever career my filmmaking career is going to be. Like, this is the next thing, and I just have to take it.
Yeah, I think we discussed the film very briefly earlier. We didn't do a full review, but
we fought about talking about it all
yeah.
day.
the feeling on the show, everyone thought I was a dummy for wanting to review a film of the person we're interviewing. But
before we saw it,
before we saw it. But the thing that to me that was clear was, I think there is some failings in the script, but I think the thing was that you're starting to get your own voice as a director, like just from the stuff that we've seen. I watched Altitude this week as well,
yep.
and then obviously for Vias for Vagitus, and then this, and I can tell for a filmmaker. I know you made a bunch of shorts as well, but for someone who only has 2 features under his belt, I can see you getting your own unique voice. And for I think for a filmmaker with 2 features under his belt, that's pretty rare from what we've seen, at least on this show. We review at least 1 film a week, and I think I think you certainly have a future as a director, and it's there's definitely that to me was the saving grace of the film was some of the things that the director that you had pulled out of this film. And so I think I'm certainly looking forward to any future projects, and I know The Hunted is something that could potentially be on the horizon here. But yeah, I mean, I think the direction in it was really good.
Well, so The Hunted would be my first opportunity to really own a project the same way I can own a comic book. To really own that creative process. The thing.
Can we buy stock in you before the movie?
Possible? Sure, man. Sure, $1 million a share. Shares, and we'll all get rich.
Check.
But so for myself, Cabin Fever was such a crazy movie. Like there was just like surviving that process was so crazy because we were shooting in. I mean, I call it my mini Heart of Darkness. I don't know if you've seen that documentary.
Yes.
So like, shooting that movie was so crazy. Like, we were shooting in the Dominican Republic, which is a beautiful country with beautiful people, and I loved everyone I met there, and I would love to go back. But I mean, and this is beyond like blah blah blah. The script was already there. Things were already set up. It's like I'm a director for hire. It's like I'm there to like. Again, just embrace the opportunity and just experience it. But like half the crew had never even been on a commercial film set before. Like half the crew just had no idea what their job was supposed to be. It was just like, and then the huge language barriers, and then also we ended up shooting through like hurricanes and tarantulas and like handguns. I had my first.
Did you say tarantula hurricanes?
Well, no, separate. It was just like, there's just so many crazy things that happened during that movie that like you couldn't even believe if I told you, like just like student riots and people getting electrocuted and like boat accidents and like it was just, and food poison. We all were getting food poisoned, even the locals. It was like such a crazy experience, but it was also because it was so crazy.
And this is Kaare Andrews' Iron Fist. And they're kind of letting that book be what it is.
Yeah, I would totally agree. I think and when you look back and say, when were all the good books being made, there's these waves, and the waves kind of happen like when Marvel almost went bankrupt, and they rejuvenated themselves by just getting the most talented guys they could find and just letting them create. The Marvel Knights books, all those books. And there's these waves of creativity. It's almost like comic books become better when they're undergoing hard times because everyone's more willing to just hire the best people and let them do their thing. And Marvel, especially Axel, is really good at just not giving you a cage, but giving you rocket fuel. So it's like and maybe they are failing right now because they are just trying to control the brand a little too much. and it's a balance because you do have a thing you want to do, and you have parent companies or whatever. But at Marvel, I think they found a way to do both. Like they both have these big giant events that lots of people work on, but then they also have like Moon Knight, or Hawkeye. Yeah. So they found this cool balance, and I really put that right now, like squarely on Axel. I think Axel, he's always been a good supporter of that way of thinking and creating.
Do you have something, Raven Shadow, you want to ask?
Yeah. Kaare, this is Raven Shadow. I just kind of want to fanboy out.
And that's his real voice.
Yes. I kind of want to fanboy out a little bit with you. I first became aware of your work on Astonishing X-Men. And I dropped off once Joss Whedon left and John Cassidy. But the promo artwork I saw for your take on these characters really, really impressed me. I thought it was really interesting, and I liked the kind of naughty Emma Frost that you had going on. And I think you did a better street level take than maybe other artists did before when they abandoned their costumes. And I'm looking at the trade right now. Can you speak a little bit on working with Warren Ellis? Whereas it seems like you've had the most creative control writing and drawing, but what was it like working with Warren Ellis, and how much freedom did you have in creating the look for the X-Men going to Africa, which I don't think ever happened before?
Right. Well, so first of all, when I first started working for Marvel, I had a real you may tell I have all these strategies, and like when I first started working for Marvel, I really knew like, I need to start writing as soon as possible, so I don't become the penciler that wishes he could write, or the penciler that just wants to write. And I knew the best way to do that is just to do it as quickly as possible. So I think within the first year, I had convinced people, like Axel was my editor, and I was like, hey, I really want to write something. And I got the response that I'm sure most people get, and it was like, listen, everyone wants to write. It's actually really hard. It's,
you got words.
Like, if you maybe spend some time at it, and maybe we can eventually find something, or whatever he was doing. And then I don't know what he's like. Well, maybe there is this Spider-Man anthology. Maybe if you had an idea, maybe we could talk about it. And so I was like, oh, great. So then I just was like, okay. So then I just drew a whole issue in layouts, but I drew the whole issue, lettered it, and so it was like something he could read as a comic book, and it wasn't like a script even. It was just like, here's what it would look like. And I gave it to him, and he was like, oh, this is actually great. Sure, let's do it. And so again, it was like not asking permission. Like I wasn't joking when I was talking about those hookers in your box, in your trunk. I mean, to maybe protect human life a little more, but I do think that there is something to be said for just doing it. Like I just knew, if I just did it and showed him, even if he said no, well, at least I would have written something, and then maybe the next, it was just like, well, why wouldn't I do that? Why would I ask for permission? So
yeah,
and then so I just started writing immediately, and then that gave me a lot of confidence then, and a lot of fun to then work with writers. So when I work with a writer, I think a lot of artists get frustrated and like, I wish I had more input in the story, or I wish I could co-plot, or I wish I could tell my thing, and so they get kind of like, there's some tension between the writers and the artists because they feel like confined. But when I work with a writer like Warren Ellis, it's like, oh, what a treat. I can write my own. If I wanted to write my own thing, I'd write my own thing. So I'm just going to like enjoy working with this amazing storyteller and just like, just have fun. And I had the same experience with Mark Miller and Zeb Wells and Warren Ellis, where these are guys that are like great writers. And it was just like fun to tell their stories. And I don't change anything when I write their scripts, when I draw their scripts. I never change anything. I will sometimes adjust panels, and I will often, the fun of it is I will take their script and then attack it like an actor attacks a movie screenplay. So I will draw beyond what's on the page. So that's my attempt. I try to draw I will draw what's on the page, but then I also draw beyond it. So in Astonishing X-Men, like, for instance, there's the X-Men in the kitchen, and there was some words spoken between like Storm and Cyclops, and I just know, okay, the X-Men is like always about family drama, soap opera, love triangles. What if I just draw them so they're kind of flirting with each other? and it wasn't in the script, and no one asked for it, but no one said no, because I just did it, and no one asked me to not do it, to redraw it, and I felt it was just me writing what wasn't in the words, but what was actually on the page. There was actually an opportunity there that would support the story and push things a little further. So I love doing that when I work with writers. Again, not changing anything they wrote, just kind of like finding ways to add subtext, or like investigate that subtext, or like, draw the thing that they, because I firmly believe if you only drew what the writer specifically asked for on a page, they would not be happy, because you have this artistic ability that they do not, so they can't imagine what exactly you could do. They tell you the story, and then it's your turn to tell that same story, but with more specificity and more decision making. So you want to write what they really not wish they could write, what they're really trying to write, but they don't even know they're trying to write. That's why I try to attack it. Like, okay, what's this really about? What are you really trying to say? And I'm going to draw that. And generally, it's been successful. Like I've had with Warren, it was great. And recently, someone said, "Oh, what was it like working with Warren Ellis? I hear he's so picky and he doesn't like changes and blah blah blah." And I was like, "Really? He was so easy to work with, and he never asked for changes, and it was so much fun." So again, but I think it's like, and actors do this all the time when they attack a script, because I've done some acting classes to help me with the directing. But you don't look at what's on the page, you look what's beyond the page. What's your objective? What's your super objective? What are you really trying to get out of the scene? Because there's like, you can read one line like 100 different ways. And the same with drawing. I could draw that same panel description 100 different ways. And so what's the way that's into the story, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Totally. I'm looking at that breakfast scene right now.
Yeah. The studio here is littered with comic books with your work right now.
Okay, good. And it doesn't always work out. Like, and to be honest, some of the work I did on Astonishing X-Men I felt was like a little off target and didn't quite hit the way I wanted to hit. But again, it's that thing of like deliberate failure. So when things don't work out, it's okay, and you have to be okay with it, and you can't let it make you scared to try things the next time, because there are things that do work out. Like, for instance, Storm with the Mohawk.
You brought it back.
I brought it back. And
you were the first guy to brought it back.
I was the first guy to bring it back.
You were the first guy to bought it back.
Brought it back.
Brought it back. And the thing with that is, like, no one asked for me to do it, and no one, and I didn't ask anyone if I could do it.
Yeah.
I just drew with the Mohawk because I love with the Mohawk. Who doesn't love with the Mohawk? And then no one even said anything about it, and it was like, oh, cool. I guess she's got the Mohawk. So you just have to take bold steps all the time. Oh, the thing with the uniforms, to answer your question specifically. Yeah. So Warren specifically said in his script or in an email or something, because we never talked on the phone because he's in the UK, that he loves artists to redesign the X-Men costumes every time they draw one of his arcs. And I was like, oh, cool. I can redesign the X-Men. Awesome. But then in the script, in the dialogue, it says, listen, guys, no costumes. We're going to Africa. We don't want to freak them out, or something like that. And then it was like, oh, I guess they're not in costumes. So like for me, it was just like, how do I problem solve this? So how do I give them costumes that don't seem too costumey? And it was like, oh, well, just be classic, but then mix it with kind of a humanitarian UN military type vibe that felt kind of African in terms of so that's what ended up with khakis and kind of like the classical black and white suits. And then Emma was like, oh, well, why not turn her into like kind of a Brit pop kind of like porn star. So that's what I
going to Africa. That'd be outrageous.
Yeah, right. So that's what I did. So I was like, because I'd seen her constantly as like kind of this juiced up kind of lingerie model, but I've always had like huge crushes on like British pop stars. So I was like, in the '60s, especially, like, you know, all that '60s cool stuff. And it was like, well, let's try that out. I haven't seen that before. And you know, I gave her some booty, and I really increased her assets, because it was like, well, I haven't seen her really done that way before. But if her power is to control men, and she's the seductress, well, that is one interpretation of a woman that could do that. Someone who used her sexuality in a way that was less like mistress lingerie, but was more like, you know, busting out pop star. That's kind of how I thought about her.
The thing that I think is terrific about that particular, did I just say fucking terrific?
Did you say terrific?
Who the fuck am I? I don't know the alphabet. So terrific. The thing that I think is excellent, sir, about that particular run is I feel like, and whether this is like brought about because of the jungle environment and it's something that I'm imposing on it, you know, because obviously you said some of the big booties were there for like a different reason, but I felt like coming off some of the other stuff I knew you from, like you really like were kind of, it seemed like you went from what you're doing and like, all right, now we're in like a different environment, like the sun is up all the time. Like it was very Frazetta-y almost. Is that an influence on yours, or is that just incidental because of some anatomy choices you made, and you know some of that you're in the jungle? Is there some Wolverine stuff that reminded me of that too? There.
Yeah, no, definitely both Wolverine and Emma. Even one of the covers was like very not homage-y Frazetta, but was like definitely like, oh, like I was aware of that. Oh, there is a Frazetta influence in some of the stuff, and it was like, because I wanted to draw that book in like a style I hadn't drawn before, and I wanted to like kind of like, I had some ideas about it that I wanted to try, and it was like, how am I going to find my way into this story in a new look and a new style? For me, the hardest part is when I start a new project, because I allow myself to draw in different styles. It's like just figuring out what that style is going to be for that project can be a little debilitating sometimes. It can like give me some false starts and like some anxiety and like, you know, like, oh God, what's it going to be like this time? So that's always the hardest for me in a project, is like, what is it going to look like? And with Iron Fist, I had some challenges because I knew I wanted to pencil, ink, and color it as well as write it. And I knew all those things all took time. So part of the reason why Iron Fist looks the way it does is a choice to be deadline friendly, and so you know, embrace kind of less detailed drawing, and kind of have it feel more organic, even though it's all drawn on a Cintiq digitally. Put paper textures in and have flatter colors and have lines that feel inked even though they're digital, and you know, so it's always fun, but a little bit daunting to figure out that new style for the new project.
Yeah, I think it's for Iron Fist, it's very effective. I mean, it just fits the look of the book. It's kind of gritty, and I love the flashbacks. I love what you do for the flashbacks as well. And it I sort of binge read 4 issues today, so read from 2 to 5, and that's one of those books that gives you a good payoff for reading in a row like that. I'm going to hate now going back to the monthly and looking forward to number 6.
Well,
right.
What's interesting about it, though, on the flip side, is I think that what I love about it is I've been getting it monthly, and I feel like I a couple of times the way I get my comics shipped, I did get 2 at a time, but it's I really enjoy having the time to decompress after it, because I feel like you do a lot with the pages that you have, and your manipulation of time and geography and time elapsed in those, like, you know, sometimes I'll put the book down and be like, where do we just go? Like,
yeah. Well, you just wait, because we're the crazy places we go in issue 8, which I'm working on right now, are just like, it's going to be a lot. It's going to be a lot of fun. But here's the weird thing about Iron Fist: those are 20-page stories, right. And I just find it so tight, 20 pages. Like the way I draw, it's like I prefer drawing like a 36-page issue. When I did Spider-Man Reign, it was like that felt very comfortable and very like reasonable. But you know, the monthly deadlines, these are 20-page books, and so it's always a bit of a trying to stuff an elephant into a suitcase every month. I find.
You do that too.
Yes, yeah. Don't ask permission. I just
Quick question: did you draw Spider-Man's cock and balls?
You're fired, Tony.
I actually am not allowed to answer that question.
Okay.
It's interesting. It's very interesting. It's not, and to be fair, I'll speak for you.
Don't
to be
speak
fair,
for me.
it's very abstract. It's very abstract, and we are a very uptight country to even bother with that.
Well, let me just say this. Like, oh yeah, go ahead.
But very interesting, and I'm looking for a non-recalled issue because clearly it's going to be worth some cash someday. So thank you in advance for my children's college fund. I like that.
Well, I don't know if Peter Parker's Pecker is going to pay for your kids to go to college.
We'll see. I mean, that's what I'm telling them.
Yeah, well, it better because his isn't.
Oh, hey-o. Well, here's the thing.
Peter Parker's Pecker paid for.
Yeah. That's a tongue twister. Say that 10 times.
That's a mouthful.
That's what Mary Jane.
Whoa.
That's what Mary Jane said.
It ain't web fluid, kids.
That's enough.
This is terrible. Can we get back? You know you're in a bad place when I'm the one that's saying it's terrible. My goodness.
Say that there was a Frank Miller book in the 80s that is one of my favorite books, and I always forget the name of it, but it's the Electra hardcover.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And he draws Matt Murdock's
business
genitals.
Yeah.
Whoa.
And so hypothetically, it may or may not have been something that happened just to see if people would be okay with it, and then hypothetically, it may have not been okay with it. and then hypothetically, the wrong page may have been printed by accident. So,
Yes.
But the reality is, I may not have drawn a penis at all. Who knows?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Might be like the Little Mermaid cover. Who knows?
Who knows? I don't know. I can't
Folks see
answer
what
that.
they want to see.
It was when I look at it, I see him wearing a gym sock on his genitals.
Will you stop? Now, I've waited so long. It's like Mr. Andrews is suffering just for you all to punish me.
It is somewhat remarkable, right? I mean,
Will you stop it? I know that this is one of your favorite subjects, but my goodness, he's got a whole collection like in our studio. Like it's awful.
Kaare, if it makes you
Batman's Ding Dong.
Not true. None of that is true.
Yeah.
No. Kaare, if it makes you feel any better, I told this story on the show a while back, but I was at Comic-Con several years ago. It was like 2002 or 2003, and I got to meet Ray Bradbury, and I also got to meet his balls, unfortunately.
Well, I think you should go into that.
How'd that happen?
It was backstage.
Yeah, he was in a wheelchair, and he was wearing very short shorts.
Oh, nice.
And
nice.
I went up and shook his hand and looked down, and sure enough, his Peter Parkers were greeting me.
I like it.
Yeah. Oh my god.
So
back to my notes. We had when we had Mike Allred on the show and didn't talk about penises.
Let's call him back.
Yes, let's call him back. Thanks. He kind of went into like a bit of the process of like how he landed on the book that he's doing right now, which is awesome as well. How when they're doing these like mini restarts, like these like big line changes and shakeups and stuff like that, which usually happen post event. Are there characters that they're shopping around, or are they just looking for pitches, or?
Well, for me specifically, I had just finished Cabin Fever, and when I do a movie, I kind of have to take a year off from comics. So I was just wrapping up, and I had talked to Axel, and I was like, "Hey, I'm about ready to come back," and he's like, "Oh, great, well, we should find something for you to do." And he was like, "What do you think? Would you want to draw an event book or something like that?" And I was like, "Not really." I was like, I had such pent up comic book making energy from doing the movie that I was like, I really want to. And again, I think doing the director for hire thing as opposed to owning the process, I just knew whatever I was doing, I wanted to write and draw it because it had been a while since I had written a full length project. I had written and drawn a couple Avengers plus X-Men and Avengers versus X-Men kind of like half-issue fights and stories. But I spent most of my writing energies in the film world, which again, those take 7 years on average to happen if they do happen. So you just get like this pent up energy to just write something and have it released. And so I was like, I really want to write something, I think, and draw it. And he was like, okay, cool. Well, here are 5 things we're thinking of doing. And I can't remember what they were. One was Inhumans. One was I don't know. Maybe did Nightcrawler come out? Maybe it was Nightcrawler. They had kind of a list of things that they were thinking of relaunching. And he's like, "Do you have any ideas for any of them?" And I was like, "Oh well, Iron Fist sounds really cool, and I don't know the character well enough to have an instant pitch on. But let me go back and read, because I had never read the very first issues of Iron Fist. I had even drawn a bit of the covers on the Matt Fraction run, and I had read that stuff, but I don't feel like that run was enough where I like, oh, I understand this character. It was like, oh, I remember the story. It was a cool story. So I went back and I read all those old issues, and I was like so excited by like how that character first emerged and how he has one of the darkest, most horrific origin story of any superhero I've ever read in my life. And it was so exciting. I was like, oh, I instantly had ideas, and I instantly had energy. And so I pitched Axel just a quick paragraph-ish pitch, a couple paragraphs. And he was like, cool, let me run it by the guys. And then he was like, yeah, everyone loves it. Just go for it. So it was pretty, it was fairly straightforward, but I had to find out if that was a character I had any connection to, and then when I did, like, if you read in the book, his origin story, he like is a kid in the Himalayas, and his father gets kind of thrown off a cliff, and his business partner kills his father and tries to make the moves on his mom, only to when she rejects him, he leaves them to die in the wilderness, and she gets eaten by wolves, and he gets saved at the last minute and taken in by these monks, and then he trains 10 years, right? Like, not to make the world a better place or to fight crime like Batman or to like learn with great power comes great responsibility. He trains 10 years to find that guy and kill him. Like, that's the darkest origin story I've ever known. And so it was so exciting to be like, okay. And that's how he started. And then he's kind of become a little more goofy, fun loving. Like, how was that the same guy?
Yeah.
Like, how was that the same guy?
Yeah.
And then for me, it was like, oh, if he's just not dealing with his past, because his past happened, that obviously happened. It's his official origin that was never changed.
Yeah,
it just became so interesting that like, oh, okay, well, if he's never dealt with his past in a long time, well, my parents are both counselors, and I know when people get addiction issues or depression or whatever, it's because oftentimes they haven't dealt with some past trauma in their lives. That trauma finds a way to deal with them through other ways, and it's like, okay, that's going to come back. That dark origin is like going to come at him like a railway train, and that's exciting, and I want to do that. So that's kind of how it happened.
There's an interesting counterpoint then that not counterpoint per se, but there's an interesting part of his origin too that I've heard you bring up at least another time too, is that he had this very dark origin. He had the opportunity to have paradise, right? Like, they gave him the keys to the city. And he could have been the living weapon, and he turned it down for vengeance. But historically, we know what happened when he went to go get that vengeance. And so he's not only living with the terrible thing that happened with him, he's living with the fact that he didn't really get what he thought he wanted. It wasn't an accessible thing.
Yeah, totally. Well, I think most well-known superheroes have like a core concept. Like Spider-Man, with great power comes great responsibility. Batman's like, oh, he vows to fight crime to avenge his parents. Superman, oh, he's the immigrant, kind of Jesus figure who teaches humanity how to be better people. Whatever. But some of these characters, like Iron Fist, I think what has stopped them from becoming more popular, in my opinion, is that their core concept has kind of either gone away or been forgotten or been muddled, or like it just haven't dealt with. And I just haven't seen Iron Fist deal with that core concept of revenge is a weapon that cuts both ways. Like when you seek vengeance, you dig two graves, one for the guy you are going to kill and one for yourself. It's like that there's a cost, or there's an emptiness, a hollowness to revenge, and I think that just had gone away from the character, and that's definitely something I wanted to deal with. Like that was a specific choice to choose death over life, and when you choose death over life, well, maybe you're going to have a hard time connecting with life yourself because you've already refused it, and maybe death is going to come for you because that's what you chose, and maybe your journey, and that's what this book is about, is going to have to find a way to back to life, to put you in a position where you can choose the other way, and reinvestigate that core concept that hasn't been around in the character for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think
cool.
I could say I'm pretty sure everyone here on the show is caught up, or at least almost caught up to issue 5, and so far we're all digging it a lot. So, and the comic book store I went to today, they had said, oh, like the guy I bought it from was like, man, this is such a good series. Everyone's been digging it. Everyone's loving it. So
yeah.
We actually we have a little bit of listener feedback, not a ton. I don't want to keep you too much longer, but one of our listeners says, just tell Kaare Pez thinks Iron Fist is freaking awesome so far. So
nice.
That's from Pez, and then we also had
That's was that from the Screamstress? Is that who said that?
No, it's from Pez.
No,
Pez. Pez sent it himself.
Otherwise, I would have said the Screamstress.
Yeah, I thought.
Yeah.
I didn't know he talked on the internet on his own. Fucking dick.
And we had a question in the chat room. This came a while ago, but I wanted to make sure I got this in. Someone named Slay Slig asks,
Nice.
what other current artists are you impressed by?
Oh, I mean, so many. Like that is asking me. That's like asking me. I don't know. That's like so many. I love so many artists. I can't even say. And the other thing is, I'm constantly finding new artists. Even like just random people on the internet, I will stumble across and just get so inspired by like a thing someone's doing, and like, oh, cool, that makes me want to draw. Like, I really do think art making is it's like this life force. It's like you get, and it travels through people. So I will find something that I find exciting and inspiring, and it will give me enough energy to create something myself. And then if I create it well enough, it will then transfer into that project, and then to someone else who gets excited and wants to create. And it's like we're just this hallway that this energy travels through from person to person, like constantly inspiring and sparking creation, and inspiring and sparking creation. So I just like, I will get inspired by anything, whether it's a drawing I stumble across on the internet, or one of my favorite artists from the past, or like a Jim Steranko, or like maybe the 80s, like whoever, Frank Miller, Howard Chaykin, or all those cool guys. Then the newer guys, Mignola, and then the newer guys, like, all kinds of guys, David Aja, just like so many names. Hard to break down.
To pinpoint.
Yeah,
absolutely. That's one of the interesting things. It seems to be a running thing when we have cool guests is the first thing. Like, but I just love hearing about the creative process and your passion, and that's sort of like the unifying thing of all the guests that we've had on here is everyone is super passionate about what they do, and it's very tangible, and it comes through. And just in talking with you about your work, that's something that I can, that's tangible. It comes through the airwaves, and hopefully the people that get to listen to this interview can feel that as well. And it's inspirational, and that's the thing is, and I love hearing you say that. It's like the force, right? I mean, like, creativity is just through us, and some people can channel it better than others, and hopefully there's no midichlorians, though.
It binds us, it surrounds us,
Yes.
it penetrates us.
You need those, or else the pool gets dirty, right?
Ooh.
That's how that works?
No, it's something different.
Oh. Damn it, I'm not on today.
So as we wrap up here, Kaare, I know we've already taken quite a bit of your time, more than I anticipated, but just tell folks, I guess, what to look forward to. I mean, obviously, we've been talking about Iron Fist, and I know you still got some stories to tell in Iron Fist. But let folks know, how they can find you, how they can support you, anything like that.
Well, I'm just entirely focused on Iron Fist right now, so that's the big thing. But I am on the downhill ride, so I'm working on issues 7 and 8. So there's only really 4 issues left for me to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just trying to, make my deadlines, focus on that, make that the priority of my life. And then there's always things percolating in the background, but nothing that is set. So I'm not sure what will happen after Iron Fist.
Yeah.
We kind of look at it like a season. So this is season 1, and then it's even possible there could be another season. I don't know. I'm not sure if the numbers will warrant it. I don't know if Marvel would want to do it. I don't know if I would want to do it. I'm not sure. We're really looking at we're not like a TV show where you're not really concerned about the next season if it happens or doesn't happen, or if it's something else, another comic book project or another movie, or who knows. I'm not quite sure, but I'm just trying to focus on Iron Fist and make it be everything I want it to be. So it's a little crazy. Like, you take this character that some people know and love in a certain way, and then I think it's your responsibility as a creator to just really make it your own, really wrap your hands around it, because every one of my favorite creators, that's what they've done. They've taken something and really done their thing with it. So I hope if my version of Iron Fist isn't the version of Iron Fist you know and love, I hope you will not be too offended, and you'll stay along for the ride and see it out to the end, because I think it's going to be pretty cool. I think the way I wrap this storyline up, it's a way I'm trying to reinvestigate that original decision he made and the consequences of his actions, the consequences of training 10 years to kill someone and then given the opportunity not to and refuse it. That's
right.
And that's not even as a little kid. Just imagine if that was Spider-Man's journey, or even Batman's journey. Batman didn't train all those years to kill Joe Chill or whatever his name was. So those are big decisions, and they demand big consequences, and I've been raining them down on him. But there is an ending that I think will be satisfying and resolute and interesting.
Cool. People can
Sounds
definitely,
awesome.
definitely look forward to that. It's one of my favorite reads right now, and I'm sure I speak for everyone else in saying that. So
most stuff. Yeah,
it's definitely a cool book. So
that dude likes it too.
Yes.
Pez?
Most Def?
Most Def. Oh,
yes.
yeah.
Yes.
So everyone should go and check that out, and also check out Cabin Fever Patient Zero, which just is available on demand now. If you're into horror, if you're into the first film, we did actually review the second one. And some of us liked it, some of us didn't. But if you like the series, check it out.
I would say for anybody that's into body horror, that there is a must-see, must-watch scene in this movie.
Yes.
Absolutely epic with an amazing punchline.
The cat fight. Yeah. There was some things in the movie that I thought, I've never seen this before. Yeah. It'll be fun to try to do that one. Yeah. So the cat fight.
No, that one has never been seen before.
Well, the other thing I really wanted to do with this movie, Camp Fever, was I had never had the opportunity to work with prosthetic makeup effects in a way that I wanted to. I grew up as a fan of that stuff, and I used to buy the Tom Savini books and Dick Smith books, and really read Cinemagic magazine and whatever. I used to really love that stuff, and at one point I could even pull off a head cast, and I've done a little bit of that stuff, but I had never really done it in a movie, and had never, I'm not a professional makeup artist, so it was really fun to work with Vincent Guastini and do that stuff, because that stuff used to be a big part of movies in the 80s. Practical makeup effects used to be a big deal.
Yeah.
And it was fun to
We are huge fans of it on this show.
Yeah, you're preaching to the choir. Yeah.
So it's fun to have a project where they're okay, we can make stuff, and rip it apart. spray blood everywhere. Like it's fun.
That was certainly one of the highlights for me. Was that the practical effects I thought were really well done, and
right.
Yeah, it was just really cool to see that, and that bumps it up a notch for me. So yeah, it's always a pleasure to see that sort of stuff. So it's good to hear that you appreciate it as well and wanted to get a lot of that in there.
And it's a good companion piece to the Maniac remake, because I always enjoy watching hobbits go clean slip their wits.
Yeah.
And Sam Wise clean slipped his wits in this movie.
Well, obviously, Sam Wise will kick Elijah Wood's butt if there is ever a Maniac Cabin Fever crossover.
Yeah.
Oh, Snoop.
Nice. Well,
Well,
there's a movie.
Well, maybe they can meet in our film that we want to get off the ground, Hobbit with a shotgun.
Yeah, that's what we're working
Yeah.
If you want to work on that, Kaare.
Yeah, we could talk. All right. Well, yeah. So we'll let you get going, Kaare, because we've already kept you long enough. But we definitely appreciate you coming on.
It was awesome.
Yeah,
Thank you.
We're big fans of your work, and we certainly look forward to anything else that you're going to be putting out in the future. And hopefully The Hunted gets made, because that elevator pitch sounds pretty fucking fantastic to all of us. So, and if you. Yeah, and if you need, if you need '80s style synth music, you know where to call.
Nice.
So, thanks so much for hanging out with us, Kaare, and hope maybe down the road we'll catch up again when you have some other stuff going on.
Yeah, that'd be great. I love talking about this stuff, so it's been fun.
Awesome, we love it too. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll catch up with you soon.
Great.
All right, take care, Kaare.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. That dude's fucking awesome.
He's fucking cool.
He hated us, though. This is the first guy. He's like, these guys are assholes. The guy with that guy that doesn't know the alphabet. That guy
24 letters.
That guy with the fucking fake Italian accent.
Hey,
like they're all assholes.
The guy that did the tongue twister about something that's going to put me in legalish trouble.
Yeah, you're going to get him in trouble.
We got to send Miss M his way.
Oh, Bomba lawyers.
Let's take a real quick break just so we can sort of get our bearings back. This will be a real quick one, and we'll come back. We'll do some feedback and wrap things up. So we'll be back in just a moment.
We interrupt our program with a special bulletin.
Okay, here we go. This is it. Greetings and salutations.
I'm Josh Gravel.
And I'm Scott LaFave.
Oh, good for you!
We want to let you know about the Arkham Film Society.
We're a small group of cinephiles programming classic, horror, cult, and exploitation film events in the Providence, Rhode Island area.
We have such sights to show you.
We try to meet a need for unconventional programming by providing affordable film events through our monthly screening series.
Be one of us.
Find us on Facebook and join our group by searching for the Arkham Film Society at facebook.com/Arkham Screening.
Check out our blog at arkhamfilmsociety.blogspot.com.
And stop by our Etsy and buy stuff at etsy.com/people/Arkham Screening.
Yes, sir! You, sir! All right already, I'm hip!
We now return control of your television set to you.
Wouldn't it be beautiful to be really in the presence of a ghost? A being from another plane?
Man, that dude is the fucking coolest.
He is.
Why do we have such good guests? We don't deserve this, do we?
No, we do not. It's hard enough for us to get the show together, let alone.
And Tanya over there collecting superhero junk.
Yeah. I've been inventorying the list in the chat, so
Batman.
I'm telling you right now that recall book is going to be worth money someday.
Are you willing to bet money on it?
Parker's Pecker picture partially paid for Princeton.
I have an issue with you right now, Dr. White.
What's the issue?
Or you can get the fuck away, right? Wherever you can just walk away from the microphone.
Slay Slig just said thanks, guys. So thank you for hanging out,
Yeah,
Slay
it was
Slick.
fucking great.
Yeah, I don't know if you're a first time listener or not, but you know, if you
Don't
want
ask
to,
who they are because that's when people
yeah, I'm not going to ask who it is.
angry at us and leave.
I'm not going to ask, but if you dig it, we do it every Wednesday night live. If not on Friday mornings, we're available on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, and trickortreatradio.com. Every week we put out an episode, so feel free to hang out with us again on next Wednesday.
Yeah, next
or,
Wednesday
or
we got
check
an
in on
awesome
Friday.
guest too. Just
That's right.
checking in for an undisclosed amount of time.
Yep.
Didn't want to miss the opportunity, but didn't know how long he could hang out. For those of you who are fans of both shows, you will think this is an enormous no-brainer when we have Freddie Morris of Night of the Living podcast on next week to hang
Nice.
out and hopefully talk about the film that we're going to watch next week.
Which is
All Cheerleaders Die.
Okay,
Well, that's what I told him. So
Nice. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. No, that's what I thought. That's what I had on the list. So I didn't know if you had already told him or not. So yeah.
So hey, Tiny, real quick,
Mm-hmm.
dude, I understand how important a CD is for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it, and I understand that, like, in the same way that it is for me, and even more so that probably this comic thing is for me. But we did okay for the fat kid who can't sing and the skinny kid who, you know, had zero knowledge of actually how to play those things. Like,
I'm just saying we have something to learn from somebody our age who is that prolific.
yeah, I
you know?
agree. But I mean, we didn't do bad either. Like, I'm
No,
the
we're
most
fine.
self-deprecating person.
I have zero regrets. Honestly, like I think it's the book that he referenced. I think that's great. I'm going to go pick that up.
Yeah, I'm going to get it
because
too.
Quite honestly, I'm afraid of both of those things. You know what I mean? I don't want to throw it out there and have it flop, and I don't want to throw it out there and be committed to doing a world tour. You know?
Right.
So I don't know. But it's very interesting. It was a great interview. It really was.
Hey, here's the way I look at it. There are punk rock kids out there that work their whole life to be able to want to play with the Misfits. And, you know, we did that. We played with the Fix, and we played with Gore while the great Glenn Berkey was still with us and helped incite a riot. Dave, sorry. You know what's funny is that who are we talking about? Glenn Ordway is why it was stuck in my head from the other day. I was trying to remember. We were talking about a local sportscaster, and I said his name was Jerry Ordway, and it was driving Michael Ravenshadow.
Oh, that was the comic book artist, right?
Yeah, it was driving Michael Ravenshadow insane. And innocently, and like we were talking about him earlier, innocently, like Aries agreed with me and like made a total logical thing of why it was completely understandable that two people would have the same name, and totally discredited Raven Shadow's like totally being correct and calling me out. And I was in the Jerry Ordway, Glenn Ordway situation. I just more embarrassingly than the alphabet, said the name improperly of someone who I'm not only a fan of, somebody who I've met on a lot of occasions and was really, really good to me and the Deadites. So that's bad. That's bad on me. It's what happens when you drink too much drink.
You knew that it was an even number of letters in the alphabet, though. And
I know how many fucking letters there are in the alphabet. Sir. I made a mistake. I know what jamming on the one is, and I know what.
Yep. We had I'll wait. Actually, I'll wait to the trick or tweet moment. Yeah, we just got a tweet a few moments ago.
I'm fucking awake. Let's fucking keep going.
Go all night.
I don't
fucking go.
I got a beautiful girl and your girlfriend waiting for me. I don't want to hang out with you any longer.
But seriously, I know we've said it already, but that dude is fucking awesome. We could have talked for 4 hours.
Can I say one more thing about Kaare?
No.
Yes. Wait, you're going to embarrass yourself?
Probably us.
You probably
as a collective. One of the reasons why he's going to be a great filmmaker is that in Altitude, which we didn't talk about.
No, we didn't.
He made a fucking movie on a fucking Buddy Holly fucking airplane that's about the size of this fucking studio.
It's probably smaller.
Smaller, you know, and he was able to make it fucking compelling. And he also made another motherfucking movie in a fucking demilitarized zone during earthquake conditions. And you can
hurricane conditions.
What did I say?
Earthquake.
Earthquake.
Yeah,
Whatever, some natural disaster.
It's a different big fat guy in a
yeah,
singlet.
we got friends over there. It's a fucking rough place. I ain't fucking gonna visit them. But he can show
what friends?
Dominican Devastator.
Oh,
it's true.
It is. We do.
But he made these fucking movies.
I know his name.
You know what I'm saying? And Spider-Man Reign, it is worth it for fucking zombie Dr. Octopus.
Yeah, I knew. I sort of wanted to ask him a little bit more about it, but we just didn't really have the time, and I knew we were going to talk about the Peter Parker's Pecker.
Yeah, Peter Pecker.
I was really hoping
Peter Pecker picked
that we
pipers.
would veer away from that, but
I will say it's an excellent book.
Yeah,
It is the similarities are certainly there, but it's basically the Dark Knight for Spider-Man. Yeah. But it's really well done. There's some really cool things that he does with it. The art's great. It's just well written too. More than anything.
What makes it different, I think, and I actually, this is embarrassing, but I never finished it. But is, Spider-Man's still Spider-Man, which is important.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like,
this dude's the fucking real deal, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like as a writer myself, I was actually envious of some of the things. I'm like, oh man, like that's something I wish I would have wrote. Like it doesn't happen to me all that often when I'm reading comics anymore. It seems like, but yeah, I mean, the dude's a fantastic writer. He's a fantastic artist. He's an amazing filmmaker. Like, he's so inspirational too. Like, there's not even like he was so modest about things.
There of all the amazing stuff that he's done and some incredible. Dreamlike designs that he's done in the Iron Fist book, issue 4 has a couple of great intimate moments that usually you get one or the other things when you're dealing with somebody that writes in a certain way, but he hits both those kinds of beats, and that's pretty fucking impressive as far as I'm concerned.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
As the original one trick pony, like I think it's like pretty fucking amazing.
Yeah,
we've been saying since we saw ABC's of Death, basically, that we feel that this guy has a bright future. I really do want to buy stock in this dude before he freaking lights it up.
Yeah, I think really if he gets to do The Hunted, if he gets to do that project, I think he's going to blow up. If he has creative control for a film, it'll be huge.
Mm-hmm. Well, what's going to fucking stop him? That's all I can think of. Like, he was like, if I get to do this, like, he's like, well, I don't really know how to build robots, but. Mm-hmm. Like he approached the ABC. I mean, granted, he was an entity in one thing, but he like approached the ABCs of Death. That was, had a roster full of filmmakers. Some of them very known.
Right.
Yeah.
And like that's a testament to just be fucking brave. Yeah.
Well, the fact that he also blew half of them out of the more. I mean,
without a doubt.
Too,
absolutely.
I mean, I like the part where he talked about not rewriting your Electronic Monster song so many times that they don't sound like the song anymore. I like when he brought that up.
I've only rewritten 2 songs, to be fair.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
and one of them is a sexy remix.
Yeah.
You know what I'd like to do? I'd like to get to feedback now.
Yep, let's do it.
Because we have a little bit. It's built up over 2 weeks, so
and we got 10 minutes to do it.
Exactly. And haven't even talked about Guardians of the Galaxy. But I guess there's not much to say. Treat.
I like small dancing trees.
I loved everything about that movie.
I fucking did too.
It was incredible. All right, let's go. Here is the first bit of. Actually, let me turn the volume up first. That helps. Okay, this is the first voicemail. Baby?
Good day, Deadites.
Oh, no.
It's me.
Oh.
Your old pal, Dr. Joey Tron.
Shit.
Oh, shit.
And, I know you haven't heard from me in a while. But this is why. I have finally perfected my cloning technology.
Oh, fuck.
Same technology that had a couple of flaws, I'll admit, when tried on Michael Ravenshadow and some crocodiles.
Hey.
So I've decided to make the perfect woman.
Woman?
I cloned myself and just changed a couple of things. Little Y chromosome to X to make my counterpart.
Is he going to decapitate a baby too?
And unfortunately, I forgot to factor in that a clone is born a baby still. So, The life of a single father has not left a lot of time for what one might consider villainy. So instead, I am raising the next generation of super genius. It's a little busy. I haven't had time to deal with your shenanigans. But just wait. Couple 2, 3, maybe 15 years, you will have your hands full again. Bless you. And fuck you guys, sons of bitches.
What?
Soon enough, I will have my revenge. I kind of forgot what I needed revenge for, because I haven't slept in 3 months.
Jeez.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.
That baby's gonna foul mouth, huh?
That was Tron.
Oh, I.
He's gonna have a foul mouth if he keeps talking like that around it.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
Jesus, that's terrible.
Says the father that perfected Ding Dong King Kong.
What?
Or the one who collects Peter Parker's pecker.
Yeah.
Well, man, it's been a long time since we heard from Tron, from
I
Joey.
think
Joey
this
Tron.
is the child's turning point for him. I think he's going to come.
The child turning point.
Child turning point. He's going to come around.
He's gonna
Maybe
come
be an
around?
asset.
Be an asset.
Asset.
I'm so embarrassed about that alphabet thing.
I'm not. It was awesome.
I am like devastated.
I counted 30. How many are there?
I'm waiting for. It's like I got bit by a Michael Raven shadow.
Yeah, he's in bed. He's brushing his teeth. He's like, "Honey, you won't believe what I just heard."
Yeah.
No, I know. I don't think it's gonna be that.
28.
What? Did you literally just fucking count the alphabet?
Oh man.
Yeah.
How did you do it out loud? Do it out loud and
A,
count.
B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V for vagitus,
Yeah.
W, X.
Yeah, but the W, I know it says double in it, but it's only one.
WWX.
X-Pac. X-Split. X-Split.
WWX split. .trickortreatradio.com.
It's not www.
Who gives a fuck about the alphabet?
So Raven Shadow can't count. Okay, we got that under control now.
Who gives a fuck?
So it looks like we don't have to worry about Joey Tron, which is fine with me, I guess.
Yeah, well.
That's good for a bit. Yeah, for a bit.
Yeah. So maybe like 18 years. We don't have to wait.
I think that's one of the guys that destroyed one of our CD masters back in the day too.
That's right. Yeah. So okay, we don't have to worry about him. Cool. Let's get to another voicemail here.
I feel bad he hasn't slept though. That's awful.
Coming soon from DC Comics.
Ooh. Exclusive right here.
In a world where films based on comic books are filled with fun and excitement, one movie will rise up to break that trend. One movie will show us the importance of never smiling and never getting over your childhood traumas. One movie will remind us that having amazing powers and saving millions of lives is no excuse to be happy. Ever. Superman, Batman, Yawn of Justice. Starring Ben Affleck as Batman, whose parents died when he was a small child. Starring Henry Cavill as Superman, whose parents died when their planet blew up.
I'm crying like a little bitch.
Starring Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, who was made of clay, which means she never got to see her parents die. And introducing Ray Fisher as Cyborg.
Dead or alive, you are coming with me.
I'm sorry, that didn't sound sad enough. Let's try that again.
Boo-hoo. They replaced my balls with a set of truck nuts. Also, my parents are dead.
Superman, Batman, Yawn of Justice. Because talking raccoons are bullshit.
Man, I can't wait to see that movie.
I kind of want to watch the raccoon again. That was fun.
How fucking cool was Rocket?
It was a fucking good fucking movie, man. I'm fucking smiling.
I want a Rocket now. Can I get a Rocket?
Yeah, you get some at Gala Video. They have a
What? No.
pocket rocket.
I suppose the rocket's out of the question.
Not like that.
No.
Rocket Raccoon.
Yeah.
Man, jeez.
Me too.
Oh, they do have issues 1 and 2 of Rocket Raccoon right here.
Word to Snurb.
Word to Snurb. There it is. So, okay, we got another voicemail. Well, let's see, where is it? Where'd the voicemail folder go? Here we go. Okay. A little worried about this one, but we'll go ahead.
New from Axel Braun Productions. He's deep, he's penetrating, and he's going to attack crime where it's never been hit before. He is Iron Fist Triple X.
Oh no!
Oh Jesus!
And this time, Iron Fist isn't just his name. Oh man, you really beat me up. Hey, what are you doing back there? It's what he does. Oh my God! No!
Jesus Christ! Stop this right now!
All the excitement of a kung fu movie, with all the action of a prison documentary. Oh! I can feel his knuckles scraping against my prostate.
Just stop it right now.
Kevin Feige of Marvel Studios calls Iron Fist Triple X disgusting and inappropriate, but at least it didn't star a girl. Ooh! You could have at least clipped your nails first. And director Kaare Andrews says, I haven't seen assholes this huge and full of shit since the last time I was interviewed for a podcast. At least he didn't team up with Power Man. Iron Fist Triple X. Coming soon to a Provincetown theater near you. Also available for download wherever Gladiator movies are sold. And be sure to check out the other Marvel adult features. Wet Coast Avengers. Yeah. Guardians of the Gangbang. And for all you real perverts out there, Howard the Duck.
I'm so sorry, Kaare.
Sorry, man.
So sorry.
Sorry. Sorry.
I'm sure he's not listening, though.
No.
Talk about how much assholes we are. That's why.
Talk in the mic.
I can't. I'm so ashamed.
Jesus Christ. Oh, my God. Would you watch that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Would you be in it?
It sounded like you were the co-star.
Yeah.
I want to talk about it.
That it probably is a good thing he didn't team up with Power Man.
Yeah. That'd be
be a different thing
a
altogether.
Titanic team up that no one
Nobody
demanded.
wants. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, lots of trailers.
A lot of movies.
It's that time of year, I guess.
Yeah. Jeez.
Wow.
We're sorry.
Sorry.
Any fans of Iron Fist and Kaare Andrews, we are sorry.
Yeah.
We cannot be held responsible.
We neither condone nor support the statements that we or other people make in this show.
That's right.
Yes.
I'm not responsible, despite being one of the hosts and
That's
producer.
Producer of all media.
I cannot be held responsible.
Like unto a thing of iron. That's fucking hard.
Yeah, it is.
Harnesses chi.
All right. Luan.
There you go.
Oh, boy, Luan. This is his email from last week. So
He was in the Big Easy.
Yeah.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
And Luan's pretty cut. Do you guys see those pictures of him?
Yeah, I don't know.
Don't fuck around with Luan. All right?
I wouldn't. He looks big, man.
So
The
Luan
tats.
Luan had sent this last week, and like I mentioned, we didn't get a chance to get around to it. So let me go ahead and read Luan's email from last week. Yo, Trick or Treat crew. It says, hey guys, how's it going? I want to thank you guys for the Raven Shadow Hulk theme sync on last week's episode. Holy shit, that was priceless. It worked out better than I expected and was exactly how it sounded in my head, minus the disco part. I was surprised at how well all the elements came together for Raven Shadow's derelict themed review. By the way, any chance I can get Raven Shadow to do a live reenactment of William Shatner singing Rocket Man in the near future?
Ooh.
He did leave us a Stitcher review.
He did. Can you get me some lyrics?
Can he get you some lyrics?
Well, can you?
You have it in your fucking hand right there. If you type in Rocket Man lyrics.
Is there some sort of resource
that
we might be able to take advantage of?
The dude's been
who we're talking with?
The dude's been sending Facebook statuses to himself for the last year.
Yeah, the message.
Tiny, did you hear that? Did you get that?
Yes.
It's fucking ridiculous. All right, let me continue the email. On a side note, have any of you guys seen or heard of a film called Found? Dynamo?
I don't think so.
Okay. It's a film based off of a book by Todd Rigney about a 12-year-old boy who discovered that his older brother is a serial killer. The film is a part coming-of-age story and part horror.
You know why this rings true? These guys were on It Came From the Underground, hosted by El Goro.
Oh, okay,
the
cool.
Independent film show.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Okay. Our buddy, go check that out. The film is part coming-of-age story and part horror, and although some of the acting in it is kind of stilted, the two main characters did a phenomenal job and really helped to elevate the film from becoming another generic mess. The gore is done surprisingly well, and the film is very mature and professionally shot for a low-budget indie. The beginning really sucks you into the story, and the ending left me speechless and rather disturbed, especially the final shot of the film. I recommend you guys checking it out if you get the chance. The film is probably one of the best horror indies I've seen in a while. Talk to you guys later. Luan. Thank you, Luan. You are the man. Thanks for that email.
Big ups yourself.
The Lost, right?
No.
The Found.
The Found. I'm sorry. Right?
It's just Found.
Oh, Found.
Oh, Found. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah.
So
this is one of those classic shitty internet searches. All right, here we go. Found. No, watch how I do this, Raven Shadow.
Found indie
Found movie.
Not on Facebook.
Don't forget that.
Yeah.
Don't
Not
forget
on
that.
Facebook,
That's how
on
you
your
use the
internet.
Shit.
Oh, this looks interesting. This looks pretty weird.
There you go. So all right, now it's time for the trick or tweet moment. Raven Shadow, give it to me.
It's time for the. Wait, I fucked it up. Trick or tweet.
That's right. Thanks.
I wasn't sure which had the bass and which one did.
Yeah.
Trick or tweet.
So some of these are from last week. Psycho Patrick tweeted at us and said, "How dare you sons of broads compare my dislike of Tarantino to Monster Zero's irrational hatred for Halloween? Come on." That was we didn't get a chance to talk about that, but maybe we'll have to pick up that discussion at a later time.
We might have to have him on the show to defend his position.
Yes,
it's indefensible.
He just started throwing mud after a while.
He did.
Sure.
Yeah.
Very uncharacteristically.
Yes, yeah, I thought so.
So we have there's a discussion that went on after. This is this your boy Freddie from Night of the Living Podcast?
Yeah.
Is that who's joining us?
Oh, is he joining us right now? Yep.
Oh, he tweeted last week. Okay, I didn't realize that was him. Cool. So there was a discussion going on after Steven was on last week, and he tweeted out the episode for us, and so Freddie says the Deadites. He sent it to me to. I'm sorry, to the Deadites, to Jodorowsky's Dune, and to Scarlata. Says, "I love Brand Scan. Great pick. I was one of two people in the theater when I saw it. Felt like a dream."
Nice.
And then Steven Scarlata replies, "That's awesome. You saw it in theaters. Yeah, man. Very underrated film. It really stands the test of time." Freddie also says, "Skip school to see it. I'm the same age as Eddie Furlong, so it really worked on me."
Nice. Wow.
And then
he looks 10 times better than it.
Yeah, no kidding.
I'm sure he does.
I'm not sure who this is. I don't know if he's in the podcast community, but Jay the Big Lug. He says, "You've aged better, though," which we absolutely agree with. And we had a tweet tonight from Bad Brother Films out of Providence, Rhode Island.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And they said, "Great show, guys."
Thanks.
Which show?
Tonight, right now. The one we're doing right this second.
Can we go?
What is this world coming to when somebody that isn't even in the same room as us can hear what we're doing and comment on it in a place that everyone in the entire world can read it?
That's nuts.
This is the future that we're living in right now.
They must all send it to themselves.
We're in the
How
freaking
do we
future
even
right
see it?
now.
Yeah, unless you're Raven Shadow, you just have conversations with yourself.
I didn't even know that was a fucking
Raven
option.
Shadow. Raven Shadow, dial 800-555-FEAR on your phone right now.
Do it. Yeah.
I can't afford that.
800 numbers usually free. Right?
We're still paying for Hawaii, Tiny.
900 numbers.
Let alone fucking Ohio.
Freddy's Nightmares.
So we did feedback. We're going to end the show. Anything else to add about Guardians of the Galaxy besides the fact that we all think it was a treat? I'm going to make the assertion that it is my favorite Marvel film. I loved it. Loved everything about it.
Yeah.
I'll second that. It's the one that I'll rewatch the most.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think so too. I mean, go ahead.
I've only seen it once, but I would say right now it's my third.
What would you place?
Obviously, the Avengers. I've watched the other two many times.
Yeah. The Avengers would be number one.
Avengers is number one.
And Captain America.
Winter Soldier. Number two.
That's what I figured.
It was very good. It was very good.
I will say it's why I go to the movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that was the jack off in the dark.
No, that's what an internet connection is for. That's After Trick or Treat Radio.
Oh, that's why you need to leave so quickly.
I gotta fucking go. Can we wrap this up?
After every episode, you're like, I gotta go.
People are
Remember,
sleeping.
children.
I gotta see that Iron Fist movie.
Yeah. He's actually untucking his shirt as he's standing up.
Oh, that's sticking to his belly.
Remember, children.
Turn off the XSplit.
I'm sure there's lots of other stuff we can talk about, but I don't know. We shouldn't get into anything. So next week, Dynamo, remind the folks what's happening.
Next week for an undisclosed amount of time.
Could be 2 minutes, could be 2 hours.
Yeah. But really excited to have him. The start of what I think will be a great collaborative relationship because, like, if you've never heard, there are a couple of people on Night of Living podcast that we need to have on here because they are constantly yelling at Freddie and the gang for derailing the show into off in crazy directions and songs and everything else. Does that sound familiar at all?
No, I
yeah,
haven't heard anything like that.
So yeah, it'll be great to have him. He's gonna fit in. He's a terrific guy. That is a great show. If you've never heard Night of Living podcast, I would say that is your favorite podcast. Everybody loves that show. So
cool. I wanted to get to it, but I don't think we're gonna have time. But we've had some a lot of cool discussions going on the Fib. There was the one I liked. Dynamo, you asked top 10 favorite working directors. Maybe that's something we can discuss.
Yeah.
In the future.
That's too many, though. You're a list maker, so 10 is not a daunting thing for you. But I would say top 3 next time, maybe 5.
What are you, puss-tacular?
I agree.
10 is too much, dude.
10 is difficult, but I think 3 would have been.
I couldn't even narrow it.
That's like saying if you wanted somebody to make a list of their favorite wrestlers, how many deep would it be?
10 or 20.
Balls deep.
10 or 20, he says. 20 deep. That's
You should hang out with Iron Fist.
Deep, dude. That is
You
deep.
sound like Michael Ravenshadow right now. You don't have 20 of one thing that you like. You have
It is
22
difficult.
synths in your room.
No, he has like 42
Right.
cents.
I can tell you my top 20 favorite synths.
Okay, so there.
Can you give us your top 3?
You can't tell me, like, you may not have top 10 favorite working directors because of your fondness for 70s cinema. Like, and that's kind of your wheelhouse. But for,
yeah,
you know, you don't have to answer. It's not homework. But I don't see that a lot. Like, the usual suspects answered, right? Like, I don't think that it's that it was too hard for most people.
A couple, but I mean, 10 is pretty much every relevant working director in our genres, right? I mean,
it did take me about 2 hours. Like, I had to think about it. It came back.
Right?
And came back.
I forgot David Lynch and David Cronenberg, and I put 20 there.
I forgot a ton. Like,
you put 20. That's classic Mars right there.
Yeah.
Who are your top 10? Here are my 20.
He did, yeah. What are your top 10? But here are my 20.
Well, here's the problem. I can't make. I have to make the list as big as I can make the list because sometimes I have to quantify things and decide where things go. This isn't arbitrary.
What was that fucking topic?
Oh, it's 12:11. This is the worst night of my life. Remember, children, shut up.
I forget what it was, but it was amazing.
It was like, who's your favorite? Blah blah blah, and then he goes on to list 100.
No, it was kung fu movies. He said, "Name some of your favorites," and
And
then
I
he
did.
proceeded to name 36 in the next post. He didn't give anyone else a fucking chance.
Where's Montezero? This is
Probably,
terrible.
probably sleeping with your. He's probably no. Never mind. He wouldn't. He's not that smart. Last thing I just want to say is because I want to encourage it. I'm picking his out because I found it first, but Kevin Clark has been leaving reviews on the Fib, which is awesome. He most recently reviewed a film called The Den, which got added to Netflix. It's a found footage horror film that he said that there's some pretty cool stuff, and it's a 1 hour 16-minute runtime. So sounds like
is that about my father watching TV growing up and never talked
in The Den. Yeah,
We can just yelling at us,
But-
looking down the stairs with a leprechaun head on.
I just wanted to mention it because I think it's awesome that he does that every now and again, and there's
Yeah.
been some other people doing that as
Tell
well.
him to
So
fucking send them to you. You'll put them on the all
Yeah.
the fucking content that Montezero is supposed to be writing.
I know, right? The unfortunate thing is when stuff gets posted to the Facebook group, it just invariably gets buried. I wish I could like tag stuff and like put it in a special folder or something. But Kevin, if you ever or anyone else wants to get your quick hit reviews out there, just email them to us. Podcast at trickortreatradio.com. We'll read them on the air. I'll try to do them if people leave them on Facebook, but sometimes it's hard. And I forget during the show if it's buried, if it's not on top. So, but yeah, keep it up. It's pretty awesome because, we only do one film a week. It's impossible for us to get to everything. So I'd love for people to continue to do that, and stuff that's on Netflix or readily available out there, by all means. Tiny, I know you needed to go long ago, but any final thoughts before we head out of here?
No. Did you say any anal final thoughts?
No, I don't know where your mind is, but
that was a very unusual stutter right there.
Are you thinking?
No, we're good. Let's get out of here, man.
You thinking Iron Fist?
We totally topped it off like 5 seconds after we got off the phone with Kaare Andrews. Like, what are we even doing right now?
I know we should have just stopped right then.
I'd be a lot happier.
Yeah. All right, Raven Chat. Any final thoughts? We missed the story again. Tell as quick as you can. I'm sorry.
No, it's already quarter past.
Next week.
All right, next week. All right, next week.
I kind of want MZ here.
Okay, we'll start with the next week in the intro.
All right.
We don't have any big interviews. We have a guest, but not a huge interview. So,
okay.
What?
I'm eating the last of the.
Oh, you're gonna be okay?
No, it's spicy.
It's not spicy.
All right, I gotta go. My ride's here.
All right, Dynamo, go ahead and take us out.
Remember, children, wherever you go, fuck you guys.
Thank you for everyone tuning in to episode 106 of Trick or Treat Radio. We had the awesome Kaare Andrews on. Go ahead and check his stuff out because that dude is fucking awesome.
Word.
And join us next week for episode 107. We'll be reviewing All Cheerleaders Die. See ya!